I think Tevez going to Juventus, what a coup that was for me. I mean,
on a head-to-head battle, Atletico Madrid can do more damage to Barcelona than the other way around.
Either he's really blind or he's fixing the match. I can't see it any other way.
I'm trying to get Sir Bob on my side here by saying City will win the Premier League.
it is an upset. You would expect Man United to go and win there.
Over $1 billion was paid in transfer fees between the clubs in Europe.
It's football. It's damn football. Like Ferguson said, football. Bloody marvellous.
Yeah, well, the celebration was, I can't believe I just scored against Mexico. At one point, Parma, I think it's only like 224 players under contract. Hey, they're going to throw me out of here, fellas. You're going to get me arrested on your show.
If you're a serious talent, you're going back and you're playing for Santos. You know, you're going back to play for, like in Argentina, for River Plate or Boca Juniors, or you're going to Europe.
He looked like the Ryan Giggs of old. He was more creative than any player on the pitch. He made Mata look stupid. He made Rooney look silly.
Now, the Premier League is the most exciting league out there. I think it's probably the best marketed league without a question.
When you look at the draw for the Champions League, you kind of say, well, all the pieces kind of fell into place for everybody except City.
I am your host, Joe Usello. Sir Bob, Mike Orr, my co-host, Rob Rojas, my trusted co-host, Ben the Machine. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 84 of Low Limit Football on this 10th of August, 2015. I'm your host, Joe Usello, and glad to be back after another exciting week of football. We had a couple of great matches this week. We had Manchester City stout out their trek for winning the Premier League this week with a 3-0 victory over West Brom. We had the New York Derby played last night with even a little fan violence to boot in that one prior to the match. We had the kickoff in the EPL and in Ligue 1 this weekend, and obviously progressing through with MLS and CONCACAF Champions League. So it was a great week of football. Joining me tonight, as always, my co-host. First, I'll go to Rob Rojas. Rob, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, Joe. Good.
Good. What'd you think of this week's football?
Oh, amazing. Great start to the new Premier League season. I know one fan here in this podcast is going to be happy.
Well, you know, I heard, I saw you kind of retweet something to us earlier in the day that said the last 5 years in a row, the champion has opened their season on Monday. So I think we're all wrong. We should have picked West Brom to win the championship this year. So let me check with my co-host in Toronto, Mike Orr, and see what he thinks. Mike, how are you?
I told you to go bet your shoe money on it, Joe. Did you?
Well, since I'm dead broke, that wouldn't return much, would it?
You bet everything you got on West Brom winning the title, my friend.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah,
but it was certainly...
It'd probably be better to bet everything you got on them being relegated than winning the title.
Right.
Maybe it's best to bet against the simulator.
Yeah, right. For once, it's never good to bet against the simulator. The simulator had
7-3.
7-3 this week. That is pretty good, man. You know, including the correct over/under on the Man City match and the winner. Although it didn't get, we didn't get a Silva goal, but he did assist.
That goal, the first goal, is under question. They said that'll go to the.
I think it's Yaya. I think it's Yaya.
Close, that one. So he did get an assist though.
Ah, okay, yeah, and I know he got the assist on the third goal for Vincent Kompany, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, definitely a good weekend, and capped off certainly for you, Mike, with a great victory at the end of the week here. Got a great show tonight. We've got some great guests coming up this evening. Coming on in about 15 minutes or so is going to be Dave Cartlidge. He's a writer for 442, and he's the online editor for beIN Sports. And we're going to do a little La Liga chat with him, seeing that that league will be kicking off. I believe, Rob, the Bundesliga kicks off this week. So we got La Liga kicking off next week, but certainly going to be excited to talk to him. Sometime in the 7 o'clock hour, we are going to play the Cyle Larin interview. Rob had the pleasure of interviewing Cyle Larin for Vavel this week, and we got to record it and put it on the show tonight. So our second active player behind Stephen Caldwell, so Cyle Larin will be on tonight. And then in the 8 o'clock hour, we have returning to us Susie Schaff from Bayern Central, going to talk to us about Bayern Munich, the Bundesliga, and that league does kick off this week. I believe that one opens on Friday with Bayern Munich playing. So A great week, and it's a great time to start looking at this stuff. I know these leagues are starting a little early, but obviously with the Euro coming up and World Cup qualifiers being played, they've got to kind of kick it off a little early. So let's go to the trivia question, Mike. If you're ready to stump us again this week, we're ready for you.
Well, Joe, I got a football question for everyone, and then I got a non-football question for you.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm just kidding. 6 managers have managed the same club for more than 4,000 days, part or all of which was in the Premier League. Can you name them? 3 of them are fairly obvious names that everyone knows. The other ones are names that soccer fans will know, but they're not quite as obvious. But there's 3 fairly obvious ones.
Okay.
So 6 managers have managed at the same club for more than 4,000 days, of which part or all of it was in the Premier League.
Okay.
I got 2.
I've definitely got 2.
How much is 4,000 days?
4,000 days is 365. It's at least
12 years.
10 years, okay.
12 years.
10 years is 3650, so, 10, 11, 12 years.
Okay.
It's more than 4,000, so right in around that range.
Don't forget the leap years. I've got 2 written down, definitely. I'm gonna add one more, just because I think he fits the bill. 6 of them, huh?
6.
And they all coached in the Premier League?
Well, that's what the question is. Almost all of it or part of it was in the Premier League.
So, majority.
Oh, so the coach coached for 4,000 days. It doesn't necessarily have to be with one team.
Yes, it has to have managed the same club for more than 4,000 days, part or all of which was in the Premier League. So we're talking about teams that might have been brought up,
relegated,
sent down.
Got it. Okay.
But they all were at one club for over 10 years.
I'm going to try to add one more name.
I got some.
I think he's wrong. But I've got 4 names right now, so we'll see. We'll see.
5 of these names are they're all 6 are obviously famous football coaches, but 5 of them are names that everybody's going to know.
Well,
and one, might.
Yeah, I think
some will know, some won't.
Luca's in the chat. I wonder if he got it to you yet.
It's Liam.
You
keep fixing it up.
I keep doing that. Well, where's Liam? Damn it. Well,
Luca can have a shot too, but it's Liam that's the one that you're referring to.
Well, I do see Luca in the chat, and that's right, because Luca last week was not able to make it to the show, so glad to see him
I'm
back.
sure Luca's very upset over Patrick Kane at the moment.
So am I. He was captain of my fantasy team, damn
it. Yeah, he's in big trouble, according to the latest stuff today.
I'll tell you what, save that for the EPL, because I didn't hear that news, although, today work was a little bit more of a crazy day. So save that for the EPL, because I do want to hear it, even though Luca doesn't want you to go there, but I do want to hear it. So let's talk about our...
Oh, Patrick Kane, not your Kane.
Oh, I thought you said...
Oh, Patrick Kane, Chicago Blackhawks, allegedly raped a girl over the weekend.
I did hear about that. All right. Well, yeah.
And Luca's a big Chicago Blackhawks fan. That's all I brought it up for. But not Harry.
My desktop on my desktop on my desktop computer at home in the house is a picture of Joel Quenneville and Kevin Dineen holding the Stanley Cup, because they're 2 of the greatest hockey players of all time. So that's all I need to say about that. But again, we digress.
I think Joel Quenneville is a much better coach than he was a player.
I think St. Louis is kicking themselves right in the you-know-what.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we'll keep it back on track. Although our trivia question tonight isn't even really a soccer trivia question per se. It's sort of
what is it?
Well, it's kind of all encompassing. But I do have a soccer answer to our trivia question tonight. So I do have. I'm gonna hint you in on that. But tonight's opening thought. I'm sorry, not the trivia question. The opening thoughts.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry about
that. Okay. Now you got me back.
Right.
You fooled me there for a minute.
See, you like that curveball. Okay, so let's go to our opening thoughts quick, because I know we've only got about 5 or 6 minutes before we have David Cartlidge on tonight. So our opening thoughts, and this is a question, Mike, that you brought up. That's certainly an interesting one. Who is the greatest athlete? Current active greatest athlete? So.
In any sport.
In any sport. So, and I think we all kind of define this a little differently. Now, Mike, from chatting with you over the weekend, your definition of this is dominance. Somebody that is just completely dominant in their sport. So, that's what you looked at it. Rob, I didn't get a feel as to how you might answer this, but I think you guys got a feel for me as to how I would answer that. And to me, greatest athlete excels in multiple levels. So for me, it's a multi-sport person. And I do have some names of some of the all-time greats that are not going to be part of my answer because most of these guys are retired. But Rob, let's go to you first on this. What would be your definition of greatest athlete?
Well, definitely the success that they've had in their sport, the amount of titles they've won, the amount of silverware, basic stuff like that.
Okay. So, and Mike, like I said, I know your definition of this is basically dominance.
I guess, but you might be. We're giving our top three, so my other two answers might surprise you.
I do want to bring up a couple of people that are not eligible to win this title, I guess, or part of this discussion. But I think if we were all encompassing, where we're talking about ever, it's hard to deny Jim Brown as the greatest athlete of all time. Okay.
I don't know about that.
Okay, I'll read you some of his things. First of all, and the reason I know a lot more about Jim Brown than I should is because he's a Syracuse alum, and I did go to school there. Jim Brown, when he was at Syracuse, played lacrosse at Syracuse, and it was because of Jim Brown that they changed the rules of the sport. Okay, how many athletes exist in the history of sports where they had to change the rules of the game because of a particular player and their dominance?
Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
What rule did they change for Wayne Gretzky? Was it the offsides rule?
One of the penalty rules. I'm just trying to think what it was. Where you never used to come back onto the ice after a goal. If you got a penalty and the team scored, you still stayed in the box. Now, because they used to score so many goals on a power play, you come out after one goal if you're on a minor penalty.
On a minor penalty, right.
Right. And you never used to. You used to serve the full minor.
You serve the full two. Okay, I didn't know about that. So
that could be more of the team than Wayne Gretzky. It could be the Edmonton Oilers, you'd say, but Wayne Gretzky was the dominant player on that team.
How many players can you think of have been inducted into 3 different Halls of Fame?
Bo Jackson?
3 different Halls of Fame. And I don't think Bo Jackson's in the Baseball Hall of Fame, by the way. I don't think he's in the Football Hall of Fame either. I'm looking up real quick right now. Jackson. They don't have him listed here. I'm surprised they don't have him listed here. I don't see Bo Jackson at the moment. And Bo Jackson, again, I'm not poo-pooing Bo Jackson because I think he's also one of the greatest athletes of all time as well. Him and Deion Sanders, all 3 of those fit in that description. Jim Brown was inducted into the Football Hall of Fame, the Lacrosse Hall of Fame, and the College Football Hall of Fame. He also ran track at Syracuse. He had the rules changed in lacrosse because of the way he played. Considered one of the greatest running backs of all time in the history of the NFL. I don't know that there is another,
Walter Payton?
A lot of people will consider him better than Walter Payton.
Canada's greatest athlete of all time is considered to be Lionel Conacher.
Okay.
Also a 4-sport player, 3 Hall of Fames. He played football, he played hockey, he was track, he dominated in lacrosse. So much along the lines of Jim Brown, although earlier than Jim Brown. Yep. And then he also went on to politics and had a successful political career, and he also won an Olympic gold medal.
Well, Jim Brown was an actor. I don't know if Jim Brown.
Yeah, Jim Brown was an actor.
Yeah, or still is, I guess. I'm going to give you another one, and this has a Connecticut.
And he's sorry, Joe. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to say that Conacher is often called Canada's answer to a person who you should probably have on your list, maybe even ahead of Jim Brown, is Jim Thorpe.
Jim Thorpe is another one I know that's hard to leave off the list.
And Lionel Conacher is often referred to as Canada's answer to Jim Thorpe.
Okay. I'm just looking. Okay, I've got
anyway, best athlete.
Yeah, let's move to the current one, seeing as we're going to be out of time.
I want to add one more to this discussion real quick. Connecticut Flair, Scott Burrell. Rob, you know who Scott Burrell is, right?
Scott Burrell. I've heard the name.
Okay. Basketball player, at UConn. Okay. He also played in the NBA. Mike, I don't know if you've ever heard of Scott Burrell. But Scott Burrell is the only player ever to be drafted in the first round of 2 major sports in the United States. He was drafted in the first round of baseball, the baseball draft, and he was drafted in the first round of the NBA draft. So I thought that was a little interesting Connecticut spin on this topic. But Rob, go ahead and give us your top 3 greatest athletes currently.
Well, there's no doubt you have to put Lionel Messi in there, given the fact that he's dominated that sport ever since he came on the pitch at Barcelona.
Okay.
I think Michael Phelps, for his multi-success as an Olympian, having the most gold medals and medals overall, so he's the most decorated one. The third one was a hard choice. I was suggesting over LeBron James, Lewis Hamilton, Ronda Rousey at one point, but I think I'm going to give it to Serena Williams for her dominance in women's tennis.
Okay. So, Mike, how about you? You had to put a top 3.
My number 1 was Serena Williams. I think we all know Serena's dominance. Right now, she holds all 4 major titles. She didn't win all 4 in a row, but all 4 right now, and she's going to be going for the Grand Slam. So she's won 40 of her last 41 majors. Matches. So definitely for me, it's Serena Williams. Number 2, I have Michael Phelps, the all-time most decorated Olympian, and I'm sure most people are aware of Michael Phelps, who is also now in training again for the next Olympics and had a very dominating this weekend at the U.S. Nationals. And number 3, which you might find surprising for me, is Chris Froome, who is the 2013 and 2015 Tour de France winner.
Okay. That's an interesting one. My list is completely different from your guys' lists. Because we, it's how we defined athlete, I guess, is what was the indicator for this particular question. So I don't have mine in a particular order. I am going to say I do have a soccer player on this list, and I'm going to save that player for third. But looking over, I have a list of 6 names, and one of them I'm already picking in the list. So out of the 5, I'm going to give you guys. First one I'm going to give you is Jimmy Graham. Okay, Jimmy Graham is a tight end for the Seattle Seahawks. He also was a tight end for the New Orleans Saints. But he played for 4 years on the basketball team at the University of Miami before being drafted into the NFL. So, 4-year player on a Division I college basketball program, and certainly one of the top 2 or 3 tight ends in football right now, American football, or hand egg as many people like to call him. So, I'm going to go with Jimmy Graham on that list. The second one I'm going to go with is another football player, and a quarterback as well, and I had to choose between one or the other. I'm choosing Robert Griffin III. Okay, and I'm choosing Robert Griffin III over Colin Kaepernick. Now,
wow.
Okay, well there's a reason. Colin Kaepernick is a quarterback. He was drafted 43rd by the Cubs. I guess when he was back in college, but obviously chose football. The reason I went with Robert Griffin III is because Robert Griffin III was a record hurdler in college, which, to me, as a baseball player and a football quarterback, you're going to have a strong arm both ways. So it's kind of this, I don't want to say it's the same task, but it is a similar task. Robert Griffin III was a different skill set by becoming a record college hurdler, because now you're running and jumping as opposed to throwing. So I chose Robert Griffin III over him. So obviously Colin Kaepernick was also on my list. Another name on my list was Dwight Freeney, who was a 4-sport letterman in high school in soccer, baseball, basketball, and football before he decided to go and play football professionally. Also another Connecticut native, by the way. And the last one was Toby Gerhart, who's the Jaguars running back, was offered a contract from Major League Baseball in 2010 to play baseball. So they were kind of my honorable mentions. My last one that I'm going to mention, because I wanted to put a little soccer spin on this, is Abby Wambach for the U.S. Women's National Team. You laugh. Why?
I laugh.
Okay. So she was a star basketball player in high school who was going to be playing Division I basketball before she decided to play soccer. She's also a World Cup winner and an Olympic gold medalist. Kind of hard to argue with the hardware.
Well, shouldn't we be talking about athletes who dominated their sport, like, professionally?
Yeah, but again, it gets into how you defined greatest athlete.
Yeah, but you can't rank someone because they were a good high school basketball player.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the greatest athletes in the world, Joe.
No, we're not. Well, if
we are. It was supposed to be the greatest athlete active in the world.
Okay, that's fine. I chose
Abby Wambach's not on that list. I hazard to say she couldn't get through half a stage of the Tour de France.
Well, you know what? Neither could Lionel Messi.
Right, I don't have him on my list either.
Well, then why are we
I'm
poo-pooing?
just saying, I would have Lionel Messi ahead of Abby Wambach.
Why are we poo-pooing my selection of Abby Wambach, but we're not talking about Rob's selection of Lionel Messi? What about Serena Williams? You think she could get through the Tour de France?
Boy, I could think she's better than Abby Wambach at her sport. Way better.
No, we're talking about greatest athlete.
I think she's a way better athlete than Abby Wambach, yes.
Okay, that's fine. Again, it was how you defined the question. And that's why I went back to it. How do you define the question?
So what's your three? Abby Wambach is in your three, or is she one of the honorable mentions?
I chose Abby Wambach, Jimmy Graham, and Robert Griffin III right now as active athletes because they have multi-sport skill sets.
I guess.
And again, it was how you define the question.
Yeah, I just don't think there's any multi-sport athlete out there right now that's on this list. The last one was Bo Jackson that would have made this list.
And I agree with you on that one as well. I agree. It would have been, if time were not an option, Bo Jackson's in the discussion, Deion Sanders is in the discussion, Jim Brown is on the list, and that's why I kind of
as an all-time great. Jim Brown, Lionel Conacher, Jim Thorpe, they're all the all-time greats. And I would actually say that at least two of those three all-time greats are better than anyone we have on our list right now.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Right,
no
but
doubt
I'm not going to be able to go with Abby Wambach.
Okay.
Well, this is something we
all your other. I know it's whatchamacallit, subjective or whatever, but I just can't put her there. But one name I'm seeing in the chat that also Stephen Codwell brought up when I asked him this question today was Novak Djokovic.
Djokovic,
yeah.
So I'm looking through the chat real quick here.
And Roger Federer also would be a name that I could see on somebody's list.
Yeah. I've got Luca's got Ronda Rousey. I'm just looking through real quick as this bounces.
Kyle Long.
Let me see here. Ronda Rousey, Edmund Neeson.
No, Usain Bolt. Although I did see his name in chat once. Usain Bolt's one. He's definitely a great athlete.
What about Lewis Hamilton?
Lewis Hamilton's an interesting.
His car's good.
Well, I don't think people give race car drivers enough credit for being athletes.
Yeah, I just don't think we're putting Lewis Hamilton on the list with these names as the greatest athletes.
So Edmund Neeson said Wayne Gretzky. David Walton, who's new to the chat, I don't recognize the name, so welcome, David, said Novak Djokovic. Let's see, who else?
David or Stephen Caldwell also said, since you brought up an NFL players, Joe, I don't really follow the NFL, but I'm sure you guys will know this name, J.J. Watt.
Oh, sure. Sure, he's an incredible, he's a gifted defensive end for the Texans.
So that was a name he also brought up.
What are the names I'm seeing? Kobe Bryant, Roger Federer, Walter Payton, Tim Duncan, Usain Bolt. Let's see, Jimmy Graham. Lucas said Jimmy Graham's interesting. Let's see, Lawrence Okoye from Luca was a Daily Mail Cup rugby champion. Let's see, who else we got? Edmund Neeson, Messi, Kobe, and then Tom Brady. Let's see, Emmitt Smith, according to Edmund Neeson, should be on there. Messi, Djokovic, and Williams for David Walton.
Jonathan Tays.
Yeah, Jonathan Tays, yeah.
Tays,
yeah. That's another one.
That is a weird spelling of a name pronounced Taves, isn't it, Rob?
Yeah, definitely.
But
anyway,
so there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I knew this would generate a lot of debate, though. I told you that.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. So, Rob, any other little tidbits you want to add in on this discussion before I go and make sure David is ready to join us?
No, that's fine. We could talk about.
I think they were all great names. Joe, I'm surprised by that one you brought up. That's all.
I just,
I think if you thought harder, you could have brought someone else.
I'll tell you what. I think we should start our All right, we'll start our guest off with it because I think it's an interesting question, and I think it's something that certainly would bear debating. So, joining us on Low Limit Football now, he's from 442 and the online editor at BN Sports, is David Cartlidge. David, this is Joe Usello. How are you tonight?
Hello, nice to join you guys. Very well, thank you.
Thank you again for coming on. We really do appreciate it. We've started out with I don't want to call it a heated discussion, but certainly a discussion, and it's kind of a vague question. The question was posed to us: who is the greatest current active athlete? So it can be anybody. So if you were ever asked, or I'm asking you the question first of all, as the greatest active athlete currently, who would you say would fit that bill and why?
Right, okay. I think I would have to go with Roger Federer.
Okay.
Or possibly Serena Williams. I think tennis is a very interesting sport in the sense that it relies a lot upon the individual. There's no team around you to lift you up. There's no coach to rely on as such by the sidelines. It relies a lot on the individual in terms of your actual ability and your mental strength. So I think Serena or Williams or Roger Federer are currently the best around right now.
Okay. See, for me, I defined the question differently from my co-hosts, whereas I defined it as a person that not necessarily was dominant in one sport like a Serena Williams or a Lionel Messi or something like that, but somebody who was capable of playing multiple sports at a high level.
Right.
So that's why I had people that were, American football players like Jimmy Graham, who played 4 years college basketball, that sort of thing. That was the kind of thing that I looked at. The other thing that came out in the discussion was that we don't tend to give race car drivers, so NASCAR, Formula One, we don't tend to give them enough credit as being athletes.
Right.
So now I know. I guess we'll bring it back to actual football talk, or real football, and we'll talk about. Start to discuss La Liga. We have 1 week coming up before we start out La Liga, which starts next weekend. Barcelona as the defending champion, but kind of under a restriction in terms of the transfer window because of financial fair play. As constructed, do you feel that Barcelona is capable of repeating as La Liga champions?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're still far ahead of a lot of teams, not just in Spain. Obviously, in Spain they're far ahead of a lot of teams, but I think in terms of a global stage they are as well. Teams like Bayern Munich and Manchester City, Chelsea, are all at different stages of restructuring in their teams to try and find their top level. I think Barcelona are in a position where their transition has been. I think it's been sped up by the appointment of Luis Enrique. I think he's an excellent coach. I think he's brought about their progression in a manner that I don't think any other coach could have. And I think and obviously there's the Messi factor as well, which obviously has to be discussed. He's such a huge point for them, and I think when you've got a player like Lionel Messi, who is probably not to get into the debate, who is probably one of the greatest footballers of all time. On your side, then you're obviously going to have an advantage. It's kind of like a cheat code in a way. So I think Barcelona are still far ahead of their competitors.
Do you think Lionel Messi has had enough of an off season to get rest and get his feet back under him? He's not getting any younger. Just played to the finals of the Copa America, and now jumping back into the La Liga season. Has he had enough rest, or do you think that this is really starting to wear and tear on him?
Yeah, I think he's hurting still. I think there's going to be a few players around the world that are coming back from the Copa America under this level. I noticed Alexis Sanchez for Arsenal. I think he looks in a really bad state, and I think they're going to have to work closely with him. And I think Barcelona's going to have to do the same with Lionel Messi, in the fact that they're going to have to work closely with him in his fitness and monitor him every day in training to see the state he is in. And I don't think we're going to see maybe the best version of Lionel Messi until the second half of the season. But I mean, the best version of Lionel Messi is considerably better than any other player in the world. So his version that is maybe 60-70% fitness is still better than 9 out of 10 footballers in the world.
Right. Now, I do want to switch the focus to Madrid, but not necessarily to Real Madrid, but to Atletico instead. This is a team that's kind of reinvented themselves a little bit. Obviously, they've gotten rid of Arda Turan. They've sent Mario Mandzukic to Juventus, but they've replaced these guys with the likes of Jackson Martinez, with Luciano Vieto from Villarreal. Have they done enough to kind of reinvent themselves to challenge for that title again?
Yeah, I think they actually have. I think right now, from today, I think that Atleti is the most exciting thing in Spanish football in terms of to watch next season. If anybody said to me, what should I watch out for next season, if they were just watching Spanish football for the first time, I'd say watch Atletico Madrid next season. Okay. Because what they're doing, they're changing the style. This is the most important change they've had since Diego Simeone arrived. And obviously Diego Simeone changed the mentality of this club. You know, they were a joke club before. They really were. They were a pun for jokes in Spain. And he made them serious, and this is the biggest change about since he joined the club. So I think this season they're going to be very, very interesting to watch, definitely.
Can they hold on to Diego Simeone for an extended amount of time moving forward, or are some of the bigger clubs in the world going to come calling for him?
I'd be very surprised if he stayed longer than another 2 years. I think 2 years would even be pushing it. So yeah, I think 2 more years is a sensible amount of time to look after him. Anything past that, I think, would be very fortunate for Atleti.
Right. Would you ever foresee a future where he would move across town to Real Madrid?
Definitely not. I can't see him moving to Real Madrid. I think if he went anywhere, it would either be Italy or England. I still think he wants to go to maybe Inter Milan to see how they maybe do with Roberto Mancini. They've obviously spent a lot of money, so maybe he could end up going there. Lazio is another option as well, to maybe do what he has done at Atleti and bring them back up from the bottom of sorts. Obviously not at the bottom, but he's brought them back up. And obviously England's always going to be an interesting option because of the money on offer, the players that are there, and the general spectacle of English football.
I was going to say, it would be nice to see him return to home in at Inter, that's for sure. So
yeah.
I know my co-hosts are chomping at the bit, and I don't want to take all their questions. So first, I'm going to send you over to Mike, because I know he has some questions. So Mike, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, David. It's Mike in Toronto. How are you tonight?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you. Nice to speak to you, Mike.
You too. Thanks for taking my questions. My first question is about Pedro. He's been heavily linked with Manchester United for a fee of around $22 million. But with Neymar out for 2 weeks with the mumps and he's going to miss the Super Cups, it seems like this deal might be delayed. Do you still see this deal happening before the transfer window closes?
Yeah, I think currently right now I still see it happening very much. I noticed there's a bit of an offensive from Barca there to make him stay. I noticed Dani Alves said the day, follow your heart. And obviously if Pedro followed his heart, then I think he'd stay at Barcelona, where he's had some wonderful moments and he's created a home there. Obviously he's from the Canary Islands. And so I think if he followed his heart, he'd stay at Barcelona. And I think they're going to play him in the Super Cup as well, and they might win that, and there'll be celebrations, and obviously he'll get caught up in the emotion of that. But I think eventually, he'll see the sensible thing is to move to Manchester United at this stage of his career. I don't think enough players leave Barcelona who have come through the system, and more should leave.
And do you think that he'd be a better signing for Manchester United than Di Maria was?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as an individual, Angel Di Maria is a far, far superior footballer to Pedro. But Luis van Gaal is a coach so tied to his system, to how he plays, and Pedro is perfect for his system. So he's a considerably better pickup than Di Maria would be.
Okay, switching over to Sevilla just for a minute. Last season they had one of their most successful campaigns ever. They won the Europa League again and thereby secured a Champions League spot. But again, like other years, they have been sellers more than buyers. With so much turnover, do you think they can achieve the success of last season?
I think it will be immensely difficult because I think the Europa League is a competition that is growing in stature. I think other clubs are going to see what Sevilla are doing and try and repeat that. And I honestly don't think that Sevilla have bought well enough. I think they've bought well. Don't get me wrong, I think they've got a good squad to compete, but I still think if from now until the end of the transfer window, if they could bring in one more centre forward, I think then I'll be looking at them possibly to repeat their success. But as of now, no, I don't think they're good enough right now to repeat that. It's a big ask.
And is that centre forward Llorente from Juventus?
Yes, it very much is. I think he'd be an ideal acquisition for them. He gives them a different profile to Immobile. and to Kevin Gameiro as well. And I think he'd be ideal.
Okay. And another transfer saga that's been going on for most of the summer is David De Gea. His transfer fee has been predicted to be anywhere between 20 and 40 million euros, which is pretty high for a goaltender. So do you see Real Madrid paying this, or do you see them more than likely waiting until next season when he'll be available on a free?
I think they need to weigh up their options. From my opinion, right now, they have got a world-class team, 10 players outside of the goalkeeper, and I think they've got 2 mediocre goalkeepers. I think a club like Real Madrid cannot have a mediocre goalkeeper, let alone 2 of them. And I think they know right now how they are, that they don't have that world-class goalkeeper, and they need that. So it's a case of them pushing the button. Personally, I don't think they will. I think they're going to get him on a free transfer next summer. I think they're going to be prepared to wait. And I think it's going to be a case of us looking at the end of the season whether they should have pushed that button to buy that world-class goalkeeper, because I think the goalkeepers they've got are going to let them down eventually this season.
Well, I'm surprised. That's a surprising answer. I really thought you were going to say they would probably push the button, but I know a lot of people are saying that they might just wait for the free. So
yeah.
During the preseason, Benitez switching over to Real Madrid again. Benitez employed a 4-2-3-1. Is this the likely formation starting the season and for most of the season going forward? And if it is, who's likely to miss out, Bale, Rodriguez, or Isco, assuming that Ronaldo on the left and Benzema as the sole forward? Yeah,
I think it's going to be between one of Benzema or Isco, because I think he's going to try and put Ronaldo up front. But I think it's eventually going to, if I have to pick one, then I think it's going to be Isco who misses out. I think he just views the other players as more bigger, have more stature, and he will go with them. I think Isco's going to miss out. I think he's going to be very unfortunate too. And again, I think he's going to probably regret that decision in the grand scheme of things. But I think it's going to be Isco who's going to miss out. To answer your question, yeah.
And there's been a lot of speculation regarding Bale and Manchester United and other teams. Do you see him leaving? Maybe not this year, but next year, or do you think he's Real Madrid to stay?
I think next summer is when he'll view it. I think he'll have this season. He'll see how things have gone under Rafa Benitez. He'll see if there's a new coach coming in. He'll see how much he's adapted, because you've got to remember he's still not fully integrated with the lifestyle in Spain at the moment. He's still not a big part of that squad. He's still not a member of that family. He's not part of any real clique there. He's very much an individual. And I think to succeed at Real Madrid, you have to really, really integrate and become part with the club and the players there. He's yet to do that for whatever reason, whether it's his personal choice or whether he just doesn't see his personality as that. But he has to do that if he wants to succeed. He has to really integrate every single part of him, learn Spanish. His family have to be fully on board as well. But personally speaking, from right now, I think this is his final season at Real Madrid, and then Manchester United will pay a lot of money to bring him back.
Interesting. Is there any truth to the rumor of the feud between him and Ronaldo, or is that just media makeup?
Yeah, it's absolutely media makeup. It's like Messi, Ronaldo. Again, we people as journalists make a lot more of it than it actually is. And you speak to the actual guys themselves, and you say, like, what do you think of what he's doing? And what do you think of this feud? And they just don't have any idea about it. They're just like, they don't know where it's come from. There's never been any interaction between them two in terms of squaring off and arguing between them or anything like that, or even personally. You know, people will share jokes, of course, but in terms of a fierce hatred or anything what's built up in the media about them in terms of nicknames, it's just it's all hyperbole, really, a bit of a soap opera created by the journalists, really.
Yeah, I guess it helps to sell papers.
Oh, absolutely.
I just have one more question for you before I hand you over to Rob. Without a world-class goaltender, can Real Madrid beat Barcelona this year and win the title?
Not unless they're planning outside of the goalkeeper is absolutely on point to the absolute inch perfect. Because I think the goalkeeper is going to let them down. I just can't understand how a team like Real Madrid can come into this season with a goalkeeper situation as mediocre as it is. Don't get me wrong, I think these goalkeepers are both very good, but at a certain level, they are very good. For Real Madrid's level, no, I don't think so. You'd look at the people they're competing with, Chelsea, Courtois, Bayern, Neuer. Keepers like this are outstanding, and their goalkeepers simply aren't good enough.
Okay, thanks a lot, David, and I'm going to put you over to Rob now, and thanks for taking my questions. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Great questions, man. Thank you very much.
Hi, David. It's nice to have you on the show.
Hi.
I just have a few questions regarding Valencia, first of all. Obviously, they have a good side. They qualified for the Champions League, having achieved fourth place. And Nuno's team is going to be playing, I believe they're playing in the Champions League, if I'm trying to remember correctly. It is...
Yeah, it's a playoff against Monaco.
Monaco, yes. Do you think the side has enough to go far in the Champions League? And what do you think they need to have to challenge for the titles this season?
I think, to answer your first question, I think quarterfinals is probably just furthest that they can get. And with the current squad, with the current makeup, they're still a club, a team in the current era. What they have, this is only the second year of their new project, shall we say. So I think it's very early to ask too much of them. I think they need to have some games where they maybe take a big scalp. They maybe need to beat a Barcelona or a Real Madrid. They need to have some outstanding Champions League games, absolutely. But I think anything beyond the quarterfinals is asking a lot of this current squad. And again, it's only in the second year of their transition as such into this new project. I think they're lacking, again, a bit more star quality. I'm a bit worried about their centre forwards as well, to be honest with you. And Otamendi as well, that situation's a bit strange as well. He might end up staying with them, but it's a question of how much he wants to be there. So it's an interesting one with them.
We have a live interactive chat, and there's a question regarding if the question about Murillo and how he was at Granada over the seasons.
Yeah, of course. He was very, very good. You have to remember he was in a very poor team who were constantly in transition. There was always new players. There was always a new coach. There was always a new defensive partner for him, and I think he handled it very, very well. And I think he will only get better alongside a more steady. He needs a steady back four. He needs a steady partner, and I think he will only get better because he's a very exciting player. He's a very talented player. That's easy to see. Anybody can watch 3 or 4 games and see he's above the level of Granada. And now he's at a better club, and this will bring him on to make him a very good centre back. I think not a world class centre back, but he'll be a good centre back most certainly.
Absolutely. And with that team at Inter, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. I've always been a fan of Marcelino at Villarreal when he had players to work with Luciano Vieto, Giovanni Dos Santos, Moy Gomez, Gabriel Paulista. But with all those players departing, do you think that they could possibly have the same season that they had last season, or do you think they'll struggle in the league and in Europa that they qualified in?
Yeah, I think it's a funny one, Villarreal. I'm looking at their business over the summer, and I'm just not impressed in the slightest what they have done. I think they've lost too many big players in terms of definition, people who can finish games. Vieto has now gone. They've lost Uche, they've lost Giovanni. These are definition players, and they don't really have anybody to score goals, and that's worrying. But that's obviously worrying in itself. But I don't think they have people to create them either. They've signed a very exciting 2 Samuels from Malaga, Samuel Castillejo and Samuel Garcia. They're both very good, but they're not going to win games for you. They're not going to... It's an interesting... They're good players for Villarreal, but they're not going to push them up the table. They're not going to scare Valencia or Atletico Madrid by no means. And Villarreal's my pick this year, actually, to maybe drop out of that and finish maybe 9th or 10th, in all honesty.
Okay. I want to talk about a team that almost got relegated despite ending in 18th place. The Eibar, they were the little engine that could, I guess you could say, a small club, first time in the La Liga. And they ended up finishing 18th, but due to restrictions by Elche, I believe by depth receiving. I think it was the problems with depth.
Yeah, that's right, yes. There's a situation in Spain where you have to pay your debt. A lot of teams have got debt with the taxman. And it wasn't paid up, basically, and it allowed Eibar back in.
Do you think Eibar have a chance to possibly stay in La Liga for another season, or do you think they'll get relegated again?
I'll be very surprised, because I think last season they had an extremely talented coach, one of the most exciting young managers in Spain, in Gaizka Cayetano, and he is gone now. he's going to be coaching in Segunda next season, and they've lost him, and it's a case of their squad having to rebuild again. And I just don't think that spirit's there that was there, what got them the back-to-back promotions, that got them, to play, that made people scared to go to that little stadium. So I think that's kind of gone away. I think it's going to be a really tough season from day one for Eibar.
Switching gears to Atletico Madrid, obviously this team made a lot of business in the summer. They brought in players like Toby Alderweireld, Jackson Martinez, Luciano Vieto, Felipe Luis, Yannick Faria Carrasco, various players. Do you think they have enough to possibly seed Real Madrid and possibly finish second behind Barcelona? Yeah,
I think they do, and I think they can scare Barcelona as well. I think they're the most, like I said before, I think they're the most exciting team in Spain at this moment to watch, because the players they have brought in, they're very, very, very interesting, and also the way they're going to play is very direct, and it's going to be, you can't take your eyes off them basically. So it's going to be something to watch, I think, for people already. They're going to be very, very exciting. They've got players like Griezmann's just a world star. He's maybe, if he's not already, then he's going to break out in an instant. He's just an unbelievable player. And then Carrasco is coming up. Vieto is excellent to watch as well. And they're so organised. Simeone again is one of the best coaches in the world. So it's fantastic what's going on at Atleti. And Oliver Torres has come back from Porto. I go on and name another 5 or 6 players. It's very exciting what's going on at Atleti, I think.
Of course, and they could possibly do a surprise title run if they do have the capability of beating Barcelona around Madrid. Sticking to Barcelona, obviously given the fact that they will probably win the Super Cup tomorrow night, the Supercopa de España, and the FIFA Club World Cup in December, do you think that if Luis Enrique wins the Setupto, meaning 6 titles in a single calendar year, does he replicate Pep Guardiola's success?
Yeah, for me he does. I think he's got less of a team for a start. I don't think he's got the talent and he's got the players at the peak that Guardiola had. He had Iniesta and Xavi and Busquets at their peak. He had he had them in a moment that was just unbelievable that you only get in a team at a very rare occasion. And I think a lot of what he's done has been through pure coaching. He's impressive in terms of things like set pieces, improving the defensive organisation, and it's been a very coaching achievement. I really, really like Luis Enrique, and from day one I thought he was the perfect appointment. He's still not very liked in Barcelona. I live in Barcelona and I speak with people every day, and there's still a strange sort of feeling towards him, which is always makes me laugh.
Absolutely. I just want to talk about comparisons more. In your opinion, which treble-winning side was better? Luis Enrique's side or Guardiola's?
I think Guardiola's side at this point, most certainly. Yes.
You know why?
I just think they were more interactive. I think they were one of the rare. You look at the great teams in any sport, and I'd put that Barcelona there. They were just magnificent to watch. The way they swept aside, and what they were playing was very unique, and it was their own brand of football. And again, it defined that generation of football, I think.
Interesting. Do you think that Barcelona have the chance to win another treble this season, given the same talent that they have?
Yeah, I do. I think they can do it again. It's they've got Messi, like I say, is a cheat code. You've got that guy, and if you can build organisationally well around that and have good planning around that, and you've got Neymar and Luis Suarez there as well, which is just incredible. This is the greatest front three possibly of all time. It is. I'm going to say it. It's the greatest front three of all time. And with that, then you can do anything.
Absolutely. It's going to be very interesting to see and very entertaining. We've always had a debate among people that we talk to, and obviously in this podcast, regarding who is the third best player in the world besides after Messi and Ronaldo. In your opinion, who do you believe are the top five best players in the world? And if I could make a suggestion between two, who do you think is better, Eden Hazard or Neymar?
I think Neymar is a better player.
Is there a reason?
Yeah, I just think he has more ability to change games, I think, than Eden Hazard. I think with Eden Hazard, in England they're clutching for a star to put alongside somebody like Neymar and Messi, and I think he has maybe built up a little bit more than he actually is currently right now.
Yeah, interesting. I don't think you're going to have some happy Chelsea fans in our chat now. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who finishes in the running for the Ballon d'Or. I just have one more last question, and basic enough. Who do you think will finish top 5 in La Liga?
Top 5? Okay. Yes. I think it'll be Barcelona, Atleti, Real Madrid, Valencia, and after that, I'm going to say Sevilla.
Okay, yeah, I think I had an idea on that as well, so that's good to hear. Thank you, David. I'm going to pass it over to Joe.
Thanks, Rob. David, I do have a couple more questions before we let you go tonight. And again, thank you for joining us. The first one came again out of our chat, and it was in regards to Nolito at Celta Vigo. Do you think he stays at Celta, or do you think he moves on to Barcelona, as has been rumored?
Yeah, Celta's very, very worried about this because his 18 million euros release clause it's extremely attainable for a lot of clubs. So definitely for Barcelona. So yeah, I think they're going to hold back from buying him, and I think they'll rely on perhaps what they have got, and they'll rely on somebody like Suarez and Neymar stepping up in a bigger way, making up for maybe that Messi downturn what we talked of earlier, that maybe he doesn't kick until the second half of the season. So I think Suarez and Neymar will be looking to add more goals this season.
Okay, and then I do want to add one more thing, just to kind of take Rob's question a little further about the next great player after Ronaldo and Messi. My co-host, Mike, has an affinity for Sergio Aguero. Where would you put Aguero in relation to those two players, Neymar and Eden Hazard?
I think Aguero is an immaculate player, and I'm absolutely desperate for him to stay injury-free, because that is all that is blighting him right now from being alongside those guys, because he deserves to be up there. He's got the ability to be up there. But he just needs to stay injury-free. This is nothing of his own doing. He just needs to stay injury-free, and then we can see how far he can be up there. And for me, if he can stay injury-free, play 50, 60 games in the season, he'll score a lot of goals, and he'll be the best player in the Premiership by quite some distance, and he'll be alongside Messi potentially. But for me, I'm probably a lot of people are going to disagree with me here, and I'm not a Real Madrid fan or anything, but I think James Rodriguez is up there. I think he's just an absolutely stunning player, and for me, it's going to be a matter of time before he really asserts himself as one of the best players in the world.
I agree. I think he, for lack of a better term, I think he might have missed a little bit of an opportunity at the Copa America this year, because he had such a spectacular World Cup. It was a shame he didn't follow it up with a similar performance in the Copa America.
Yeah, the only thing then I thought it was very difficult was for him. I thought that whole team was playing to get Falcao back scoring again. Peckerman was so determined to get Falcao back on that top form, and I think the whole system was catered towards that. And James ended up becoming a victim of that, and that's unfortunately what held him at the end.
Yeah, you're right. He should have, Peckerman should have definitely played it to the strengths of James instead of trying to bring Falcao back. You do bring up, I know we kept our discussion mainly La Liga tonight, but you do bring up an interesting player and topic in Radamel Falcao. I've always felt that Monaco and then Manchester United rushed him back a little too quickly, and it might have even been a function of the Colombian wishes going into the World Cup. Do you feel Falcao can ever get back to where he was previously, or do you think that has passed him by?
I think it's passed him by, unfortunately. I think the injury has come at a time in his career when he should have been hitting his peak, and he should have been playing regularly, and confidence comes with that as well, and becoming settled at a particular club, and right now he's just being passed off as a friend of Jorge Mendes. He's at Chelsea right now because I think as a favour, basically, to see if he can get it back. And I think at the end of the day, somebody like Remy is going to score more goals than him and play more minutes than him. And it's very, very sad, because at Leti he was an absolute animal, and he looked like an unbelievable centre forward. He had everything. He had pace, he had power, he had technique. He had absolutely everything, and it's unfortunate. But no, I just don't think Falcao is going to get it back.
I agree with you. I don't think he will. I think he will start to come back, but I don't think we'll ever see that Atletico Madrid Radamel Falcao ever again. I think that is beyond him. I do have a couple more questions out of the chat room. The first one comes from Edmund Neeson. He wants to know, what kind of role will John Guidetti play at Celta?
Yeah, John Guidetti he's going to get a lot of games because they've sold Ralave, who was the main centre forward, and they've also lost Santi Mina as well to Valencia. So there's minutes up for grabs there. So Guidetti has to really work hard in training. He has to really show application to go with his talent. He's got unbelievable talent, John Guidetti. Natural technique, ability, he's got it for days. He can blast a lot of players off the field, but he has to work extremely hard to get in that Celtic team because they work hard as a unit. And if he does that, then I think he could be a little star in the league, you know, like a little under the radar type player, like a Carlos Vela. Didn't perhaps get the main headlines, but you know he's respected.
All right. My last question for you is, and we kind of touched on this a little bit with Eibar, feeling that Eibar is going to be relegated coming this season, and they were kind of saved by Elche and the whole taxman. We've added this season our 3 newcomers to the La Liga, our Ciudad de Murcia, I believe is how it's pronounced. We've also added Sporting Gijón and Las Palmas. So if we've already relegated Eibar at the end of the season, are 2 of these 3 teams going to be going down? And if you think so, who would the 2 teams be?
I think Las Palmas are going to be the team that goes down. So the 3 that come up, sorry, is Real Betis, Sporting Gijón, and Las Palmas who will come up. Yep.
Oh,
so
yes.
I think it's going to be Las Palmas and Sporting Gijón who are going to go down. Unfortunately, I don't want to say Sporting because Sporting Gijón are my team, actually. But I think Sporting and Las Palmas will go down, but Betis will stay up.
And what makes you think, why Betis? Why will Betis stay? Why do you feel Betis will stay up at the end of the season?
Yeah, they've got a manager in Pepe Mel who knows the league really, really well. He got them in the Europa League a few years ago, and a lot of things went wrong at the club to see him leave. He went to West Brom in the Premier League, if you remember, and he's just a great coach, and I think he'll eventually keep him up. And they've got some nice players there, people like Ruben Castro and Jorge Molina have been there and done that before, and I think they will keep them up alongside the young players and people like they brought Van der Vaart in as well, and I think they'll have enough just to stay up.
And I was going to say they added a little bit of experience with Van der Vaart, so that certainly will be okay. And I was going to let you go, but I'm being told that Rob has one more question. So Rob, if you go ahead and fire away with it.
Yes, I just have one last question. Given that Del Bosque does not stay after Euro 2016, who do you think is the perfect successor for him for the national team?
It's an interesting one. I think we were talking about Marcelino before. I think Marcelino is going to be in the reckoning. But I think right now, given his success at Sevilla, I think it's got to be Unai Emery as at the top of the list. Given that he's been there on the European stage and been in the big games and won that trophy, so that goes for him. Personal opinion, I'd like Paco Gemes from Rayo Vallecano, who I think is an outstanding coach.
All right. Yeah, I was mentioning Marcelino and Emery in my choices when I was thinking about it. So thank you so much.
And I was going to say, I think Paco Gemes is another good choice as well. He's an excellent coach. So
yeah, he's a genius. I don't think he gets the credit that he does. Given Rayo don't have any right to be in the top flight of Spain. They don't have any right to be in the Segunda, given their wage bill and how they are run.
And they're still there. So
yeah,
David, thank you again. I know we've kept you a little bit longer than we anticipated. But I really do appreciate you taking especially the extra time. And I know that Mike really enjoyed your Sergio Aguero answer, so I'm sure he will be dying to have you back very
Thanks,
soon.
David.
It's no problem. I did it just for you.
Thanks again, David. We enjoyed having you, and hopefully come back soon.
It's great speaking to you guys. Thank you. I hope to join you soon.
Have a good night. And that was David Cartlidge from 442 and Bein Sport. Certainly knowledgeable across the board on La Liga. That was an interesting question, Rob. I got to say at the end about who would the next guy be for Del Bosque or to replace Del Bosque. What did you think of his answer?
Yeah, I thought it was spot on. I knew he was going to say Marcelino or Emery as one of the options, so I was happy for that. He definitely has great knowledge in La Liga.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Mike, I know you like the Aguero answer. Anything else strike home with you?
No, he's like Kristen last week, very knowledgeable on what he speaks, and I think we're really lucky that we've been getting these guests in the last few weeks.
Yeah, we've had some great ones, especially, and even tonight, when towards the end of the show when Susie's on, just to be able to preview some of these leagues, they've been so knowledgeable and they've been just great to chat with. So I think. Certainly we've been very lucky to get the guests that we've been getting. So again, thanks to David to coming on. It was absolutely wonderful to talk to him. So, we do have some time because, like I had said, Susie is coming on at 8:00, and we've got about an hour before she comes on. I'd say we should at least run down our leagues, and then we'll play the Cyle Larin audio, don't you think?
Yeah.
All right,
absolutely.
so I guess I'll lead it off. Normally we start out in Spain, but Spain is still on vacation. So I'm going to take it over to France, which is the next league we normally cover, which opened this week. And starting out with Friday, Paris Saint-Germain beating Lille 1-0. Bastia 2-1 over Rennes. Marseille losing at home to Caen 1-0. And right after the match, El Loco, Marcelo Bielsa, resigns his position. Many are still, guys, I don't know if you've heard anything else recently on this, but many are still pointing to the fact that he's going to be going to the Mexican national team, but I guess things are still on hold. Have you guys heard anything further on that particular front?
As much as I've heard, he's going to go back to Argentina. He hasn't spoken to the federation yet, so.
Okay.
But some Mexican journals have confirmed that he will be the next coach of the Mexican national team.
Okay.
Just needs to put pen into paper.
Got it. Okay. So again, Marseille losing at home 1-0 to Caen. Angers on their opening match in after being promoted, defeating Montpellier on the road 2-0 in an upset. Nantes 1-0 over Guingamp on an own goal in the 89th minute. Monaco 2-1 over Nice. Troyes and Ajaccio played to a 0-0 draw into newcomers into Ligue 1. On Sunday, Toulouse 2-1 over Saint-Etienne at home. Bordeaux in an upset, losing to Reims at home 2-1. And closing out the week, Lyon and Lorient played to a 0-0 draw. I believe Alexander Lacazette did get injured in this one, but no word on if it's going to be a lengthy absence. So after one match, we have 8 teams that are tied at the top of the league with 3 points each. We have 4 teams on draws and another 8 teams that have not registered a single point. Top goal scorers, lots of people scored 1. Ben Yedder, Kurzawa, Mora, there's a bunch of others, so not really worth going through the statistics there at all. So that's our Ligue 1 report for week 1, and we will have a match of the week coming up later on in the show. So Mike, I'm going to send it over to you to talk about the other European league that started this week.
Okay, so England, our match of the week was Manchester United and Tottenham. I predicted a 2-2 draw. The simulator predicted a 2-0 Manchester United win, and the final was 1-0. It was a rather lackluster affair, especially for our game of the week. It was Kyle Walker own goal was the only difference in the game. There was 5 yellow cards in the game, 1 to Mata and 1 to Schweinsteiger in his debut for Manchester United. Vertonghen, Dyer, and Ali picking up yellows for Tottenham. Manchester United had 9 shots on goal to 9 shots for Tottenham. Only 1 on target for Manchester United, 4 for Tottenham. Yeah, it was a rather dull affair. Did you guys watch it?
I did get a chance to watch some of it. That was the early game on Saturday.
Yeah. Did it put you almost back to sleep? Or
Pretty close. Pretty close. You know,
a good game for Matteo Darmian.
Yeah, Darmian had an excellent game. I'm surprised that Hugo Lloris didn't start, but I hadn't heard that he was injured, and he was on the bench.
He is injured.
Yeah, he is injured.
Oh, because he was listed as the backup to Vorm.
You should be surprised.
Yeah, I think he's just carrying a knock. I don't think he's injured. If he needed to come on, they could have used him. But
Romero had a good game.
Romero had a good game as well.
With with David De Gea sitting up in the crowd in his tie and suit. So
that's right.
I don't know what's gonna what David said in our discussion earlier that Real Madrid's going to wait to pick him up on a free. I don't know what that's going to do for De Gea this season.
They're probably not going
to starting.
I was going to say Romero's going to get the keys to the car there, don't you think?
Wow, really? Eh?
Yeah,
it looks like as long as he's until he smashes it. I guess you're right.
Exactly.
Which on this Manchester United team could be next weekend.
You hope.
Going to the other games in the league, on Saturday it was Bournemouth, newly promoted Bournemouth, losing 1-0 to Aston Villa. It was Rudy Gestade with the goal for Aston Villa. Everton and Watford 2-2. Barkley and Kone for Everton. Leyoun and Ignalo, I think it is, for Watford. So there's 2-2 there. Leicester with 4-2 for Sunderland. Vardy, Mahrez with 2, and Albrighton for Leicester. It was Jermaine Defoe, Boo, and Fletcher for Sunderland. Norwich back in the Premier League and lost their first game at home, 3-1 to Crystal Palace. Saha, Delaney, and Cabaye for Crystal Palace. Nathan Redmond for Norwich. Chelsea, in the late game on Saturday, tied 2-2 against Swansea. Oscar and Fernandez with an own goal were Chelsea's goals, and Ayew and Gomez for Swansea. 2-2 was the result there. Arsenal loses at home on Sunday. Oh, did you want to say something, Rob?
I did want to say something. The fact that Courtois is going to be, he's not going to be playing next week against City, so I think Begovic is going to be, has to have a spectacular game against City.
Yeah, that's going to be. I wish it wasn't quite so early, but I guess, like you said, that red card is a help to City. But I just wish the game wasn't quite so early. Although the way City looked, which we'll talk about later, maybe it won't be bad being this early, considering the way Chelsea looked on Saturday. Arsenal lost to West Ham. 2-0. Coyote and Zarate for West Ham. 2-0 was the final. Newcastle 2, Southampton 2. Cease and Wijnaldum for Newcastle. Pele and Shane Long for Southampton. Liverpool beat Stoke 1-0 on Coutinho's. Did you see that strike? It was a beautiful strike, although the Stoke goaltender was probably wishing he had that one back, even though it was such a good strike. He did get a lot of hand on it.
Yeah, of course.
But it was certainly a rocket.
But we talked about West Ham, right?
No, the Stoke Coutinho goal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And in the game earlier this afternoon, Premier League favourites Manchester City beat West Brom 3-0. Torre with a brace and Vincent Kompany with a header. 3-0 Manchester City. Navas, Boney, and Silva with the assists. What a game.
Yeah, of course. I was impressed. Were you impressed by Reece Oxford's performance at West Ham? 16 years old.
I really was, yeah.
Joe?
Yeah, unbelievable.
I was even impressed by, I don't know if you guys seen his, you probably didn't watch Match of the Day, but his exit interview that they do on Match of the Day was with him, and he's really mature for a 16-year-old, I got to say that.
Yeah,
he's well-spoken, and, definitely, what was that, the second youngest debut, I believe, in Premier League history?
Yes, I think so.
Joe, are you on?
I know that? I'm still here. I did not know that.
I believe Jose Baxter of Everton beat him by about a month.
I think Izzy Brown was part of that for Chelsea. I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of different lists. The one list I have here has Jose Baxter, Reece Oxford, Wayne Rooney, Neil Finn, and then Andy Campbell as the 5 youngest Premier League players to make their start. Jose Baxter was 16 years, 198 days. Reece Oxford, 16 years, 236 days. So a 38-day difference between the two of them. But I would hazard to say that Reece Oxford probably had a better debut than Jose Baxter.
Yeah, you think?
I won't say he had a better one than Wayne Rooney, because I think Wayne Rooney scored in his debut for Everton, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so... Okay, so that is the English Premier League, Joe. Sorry. The team of the week quickly was Adrian in goal. They're using a 4-3-3, and of course it doesn't include today's players, which I would find a place to put Kompany and David Silva in this lineup. But going with what they've got, it's Adrian, Soares, Mika Richards, Reed, and Amavi, and that's the back 4. Reece Oxford, aforementioned Reece Oxford, is the central defender in this 4-3-3 with Cabaye and Mahrez on the left and right. And Coutinho, Gomez, and Vardy are the 3 forwards, or 1 forward and 2 wingers, depending on how you look at it. And the manager of the week was Slaven Bilic.
He had a great
Rightly
weekend.
so.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Wasn't
that is the Premier League, Joe. Unless you wanted to add something, sorry.
No. I thought Bilic. Correct me if I'm wrong. Coach of Villa, correct?
No, West Ham.
West Ham. That's it. I couldn't remember. I know that.
Villa's Tim Sherwood.
That's right. But Bilic, I think West Ham's victory was like the first time they had beaten. Oh God, who did they beat now this week?
Arsenal.
Arsenal. Thank you. It was like the first time that they had gone to the Emirates to beat Arsenal in like the last 5 or 6 years or something.
First time since 2007.
Yeah. So it was a ridiculous amount of time. So
See, that's why we keep him around, Joe.
I know
He's got all those great.
But
stats
I
down.
saw the post game interview on TV with Bilic, and that's why. But I couldn't remember watching enough soccer this.
He's got a big head.
Thanks. So, Mike, I'm throwing it
Bigger
back.
than Louis Van Gaal.
Sort
I
of.
don't know about that.
So, Mike, I'm throwing the keys back to you to give us the MLS information.
Okay, our game of the week was Montreal versus DC United. I actually chose Montreal to win this game 1-0, and the actual score was DC United coming to Montreal and winning at the Saputo Stadium 1-0. Chris Wolf with the only goal in the 13th minute. It seems like I really chose two kind of boring games for the game of the week this week, so hopefully that'll change for next week. Another affair with 5 yellow cards, 3 to Montreal, Piatti, Venegas, and Marco Donadel for Montreal Impact, and Arnaud and Sean Franklin for DC United. Shots on goal, believe it or not, Montreal had 25 shots. DC United had 1. They scored on their only shot on goal and target in the whole game. Montreal had 25 shots on goal, 8 on target. So that's a crazy one, no, Joe?
Wow, that is pretty crazy.
25 shots to 1. And to 1. 8 shots to 1 on goal, and the only shot they got on goal went in. Chris Rolfe in the 13th minute.
They're playing just like Manchester United did this weekend, right?
Yeah, except Manchester United uses own goals.
Yeah, I was going to say they don't even score their own.
Yeah, exactly. So, apologies again. It didn't turn out to probably be the match of the week, but it was Montreal's second game in 4 days, so that might have accounted for the lackluster affair there. The rest of the MLS went as follows. Like I said, Montreal played a mid-game week against the New York Red Bulls. They tied the Red Bulls, 1-1. Odoro and Lloyd Sam for the Red Bulls. Toronto played Orlando also on Wednesday night, a game I attended both as a spectator and media for the post-game press conference. It was a very good game for Toronto. They won 3-0. Giovinco had a hat trick, his second of the season. Colin Warner had the other goal for Toronto, and it was Luke Bowden for Orlando City. 4-1 Toronto was the final. Yeah, it was a good game. 27,000 people there. The one thing that surprised me is how tiny the dressing room is. You can't believe how small it is. It is like tiny. I don't know how they fit everybody in there.
They actually let you in?
Yeah, that's where you interview the players after the game.
Oh.
So first you go into a room where they hold the press conference with the coach, and he gets, which is pretty short, I guess, because it was during the midweek, and also an 8:00 start due to all the construction going on in and around BMO Field. So I'm sure Orlando has a flight to catch. So there was only 3 players made available from Toronto FC and none available from Orlando. And Kaká didn't play, so that would have been the one person I really wanted to see in that game. So other than that, yeah, I got a bunch of pictures, which I'm going to send to Joe, and he'll put a few of them on the website. The next game was Portland versus Chicago. That was on Friday night. Portland beating Chicago 1-0. Fernando Adi for Portland. And that was it in that one. And then Toronto again played on Saturday. This time it was very disappointing. It looked like half the team didn't even really show up for the game. 3-1 was the final to Kansas City. Phil Hauber, Pedersen, and Nemeth for Sporting Kansas City. Michael Bradley for Toronto FC. 3-1 final. Toronto just can't seem to get a win streak of one or two of three games strung together at all this year. It's one win, one loss, draw. So still hoping to make the playoffs. Joe still has them to win the MLS title, but we'll see what happens there. Orlando City and Philadelphia in a snooze fest, 0-0. Montreal Impact in our game of the week lost to DC United. We went over that one already. 1-0 DC United. Colorado Rapids lose to Columbus Crew at home, 2-1. Bobby Burling for Colorado. Kai Kamara with 2 goals, regaining the scoring lead in the MLS for Columbus. Houston 2-1 over the Earthquake. For Houston, it was Alex and Beasley and Amaquara with 1 goal for San Jose. 2-1 Houston final. The red-hot Vancouver Whitecaps beat the Real Salt Lake 4-0. Teixeira with 2, Ka and Rivera with the others for Vancouver, who stay atop the MLS West. The LA Galaxy put quite the hammering on Seattle, 3-1. Keen Zardes and Giovanni Dos Santos with a goal in his debut. Chad Barrett scored the early goal. I think it was like 1 or 2 minutes into it, and then had to go off with a hammy injury that he got while celebrating his 2-minute goal.
That's right.
And sorry, Joe?
No, I said that's right. I was funny. You and I and Rob, the three of us were chatting last night, and as that goal happened, we're like, Seattle scored, and then 2 seconds later, and he's off. It was just amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And the New York, not funny for him, but funny that we were talking about it like that. Yeah. And the New York Red Bulls beat the New York City FC for the 3rd time this year, a clean sweep, 2-0. Bradley Wright Phillips and Felipe for the Red Bulls. Clean sweep, Joe. What? I guess New York's red?
Yeah, New York has to be red, don't you think?
Yeah, it's not good for the New York City FC. If they don't make the playoffs, that's not good, right?
Well, obviously New York will be better if both teams make the playoffs. But did you see the tifo that they put up before the match?
I didn't.
It was a huge picture of Frank Lampard and Andrea Pirlo with like walkers and canes, and it was something like a city retirement home or something like that.
That's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, it was a good one. I snapped a picture of it. I downloaded a picture of it. It was kind
of. Now the one thing I did see was the garbage fight before the game.
Yeah,
where they were throwing garbage pails at each other, trying to pretend they were in England. I think
that was
in England 20 years ago, by the way, too.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's just manufactured.
Yeah, it seemed like it. It seemed contrived. Yeah, it was, and if it wasn't, it was definitely bordering on silly anyway.
Yeah, it was stupid either way, but yeah, it just unbelievable scenes there just before the match.
Yeah. A quick look at the MLS table then. I'll just go through the top few. I'll just name the playoff teams and leave the other ones out. DC United on 44 points tops the East. The Red Bulls on 36 points are in second. Columbus Crew is in third on 34 points. We have 2 teams tied for fourth, New England and Toronto, both on 31 points. And we have 2 teams tied for sixth, which would be the playoff spot right now. Montreal and Orlando, both on 28 points, but Montreal holding 3 games in hand. And rounding out that Eastern Conference is New York City FC, Philadelphia, and Chicago on the bottom, where they've been most of the season. The West sees Vancouver on the top with 42 points. Does that surprise you, Joe, this late into the season? That I know we both picked them to win, make the playoffs, but I certainly didn't pick them to win the West.
Yeah, I didn't pick them to win the West either. I think we both had them in at like 5th or 6th place. So surprised that they're in the playoff hunt. No. Surprised that they're leading the way. Absolutely. I'm also kind of disappointed, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes with the CONCACAF Champions League. Disappointed in the Seattle Sounders, man. 5 straight losses. And you thought for a second last night against the Galaxy, they bounced out to that early goal by Chad Barrett, and all of a sudden you're like, you know what? Maybe this is the day they're going to get it turned around against this LA Galaxy side, which is a pretty decent side and has been rolling pretty well. And then all of a sudden the wheels just came off. In fact, I think, guys, we were kind of tweeting to each other last night a couple times that it just seemed like the defense for the Sounders has just fallen asleep on 2 of the 3 goals at least. So I'm really.
And other than that goal, that 2-minute span that you're talking about, like Seattle looked really bad. That's why I said in the wrap-up of the game there that LA pounded Seattle.
Yeah.
It could have been worse.
I mean, if you look at the bottom of the table, I know I'm kind of getting ahead of you here a little bit, but the Dynamo only 1 point back of Seattle with a game at hand. Seattle's really got to start worrying about this, don't you think?
Yeah, and Real Salt Lake has just been shooting themselves in the foot 2 weeks in a row because they've lost the 2 games they had in hand and didn't pick up any points and are still 3 points behind Seattle, where they could be 3 points ahead.
And talk about defensive lapses. Real Salt Lake has given up 10 goals in their last 2 matches.
Yeah, they're still better than Toronto FC's defense, though.
That one's been pretty bad as of late.
Toronto FC has given up 38 goals. Has anyone given up 38 goals in the whole league? I don't think so. Columbus 39.
Yeah, and 37 goes to Orlando City and Real Salt Lake.
Yeah, if Toronto just had a little bit of a defense, they'd be dangerous. Anyway, finishing out the West, then it's the LA Galaxy in second on 40 points. FC Dallas in third on 38 points. Sporting Kansas City in fourth on 37. It's the Timber in fifth on 36 points. And rounding out the playoff positions is Seattle on 32 points in sixth. We have Houston in seventh, Real Salt Lake in eighth, the Earthquake in ninth, and Colorado Rapids in 10th on 24 points. A quick look at the goal scorers sees that Kamara regained his goals lead with his 2-point output on Saturday. He has 17 goals. Sebastian Giovinco is second on 16 goals. David Villa on 14 goals. Cyle Larin, who we have coming up later in the show from Orlando City SC, is tied for fourth with Robbie Keane of the LA Galaxy on 11 goals. And there are a whole slew of players with 10 goals, amongst them Bradley, Wright, Phillips, and Kaká. And quick look at the assist leaders. See Sebastian Giovinco on top, tied with Ethan Finley, both on 10. Phil Hauber with 9. Morales with 8. And then a bunch of them on 6, including Brad Davis and Kellen Rowe and Christian Medana from Philadelphia Union. Joe, I think that's the MLS.
All right, so let's take it over to Rob. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, please.
How small is Giovinco?
Oh, he's really small. I know he's listed at, what is it, 5?
5'5".
Yeah, I guess he's probably 5'5", but I didn't probably realize how short 5'5" is. Not that I'm that tall, but I got to know what it felt like to be like 6'4" or something when I stood beside him.
Well,
that's how I felt. He's really tiny.
They don't call him the Atomic Ant for nothing, right? I mean,
right, but I think there's even one smaller guy in the league.
No idea.
He just came into the league. One smaller guy. I don't think it might be Teixeira on Vancouver.
Let me
Christian
check.
Teixeira. It might be him. I'm not sure. But I remember hearing there was one smaller guy. But yeah, he's really small.
Luke is asking how tall you are in chat.
I'm like only 5'10".
Michael, you're right. Christian Teixeira, 5'2".
Yeah, I thought he was. Yeah, he's the smallest player in the league, and he's something bug is his nickname.
Something bug.
Yeah, so they both got their Atomic Ant, and I'm not sure of his, but it's something bug. So they both got their nicknames, and both are having good seasons. Although Giovinco's having a season for the ages in the MLS.
Right. He definitely needs that call up to the Italian team pronto.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if Antonio Conte.
Oh, I hope that comes now. Just, you know how I hate international stuff, but I really think for him, I really hope he gets it. I really hope he gets it,
Rob,
because I think he wants it too. So,
of course.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Who wouldn't? I was gonna say before I throw it over to you, I want to wish. I just saw this come over Twitter. Our former guest Ryan Pinkarski, is his birthday today, so happy birthday to Ryan.
Birthday.
So we'll definitely get that out there. But I am going to throw it over to you to give us the Copa Libertadores final.
Yes, I shall. So the 56th edition of the Copa Libertadores de America has a new winner, and it's River Plate of Argentina for the third time in their history. After the 0-0 draw in Mexico, they played the second leg in front of an amazing crowd at Monumental Stadium. Joe, I know we saw that when they came out to the pitch, it was just incredible.
Yeah, I did see that. But we've always said that about the Argentinian football. It's just that extra passion that's there. It was a sight to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in the 45th minute, Lucas Alario, who scored against Guarani in the second leg in the semifinals, scored the goal just before halftime. Carlos Sanchez was brought down for a penalty in the 75th and scored his from the spot kick. And Ramiro Funes Mori scored from a corner kick in the 79th minute to give River Plate their third ever title and are the first ever team to hold the Copa Sudamericana and the Libertadores at the same time, and will now play for the FIFA Club World Cup in December in Japan, which probably will be the final against Barcelona. Right. And just to mention, Fernando Cavanaghi, the captain, announced his retirement shortly after the game.
Yeah. I was going to say that the spot in the Club World Cup for River Plate was decided before the finals even kicked off, as Tigres could not represent the South American champion because they're in CONCACAF.
Yep, that's correct.
So they couldn't do it anyway, and so they kind of got hosed out of everything at that point for the Club World Cup, because it was Club America that's going to represent CONCACAF winning the Gold Cup. The CONCACAF Champions League, and then they had no shot at it. So
let me ask you this, Joe, and I guess Mike, if you saw a bit of River Plate, you've seen River Plate. Do you think Marcelo Gallardo, the coach, is one of the best in the world?
One of the best in the world.
Top 10.
I struggled. If we're just talking club coaches, I think he's in the conversation. I think he's in the conversation. He's done incredible work with River Plate, obviously holding both South American titles at the same time. You're talking about a club that was, I think, 2 years ago relegated to the second division in Germany?
4 years ago.
4 years ago, okay. So he's done all that work to get them back into this position of prominence. The only thing I don't know is where River Plate currently stands in the Premier Division.
I think they're second with the game in hand because of the whole competition.
Okay.
So they're challenging. I think if they win, they're equal with Boca.
If they win, they're even with Boca, which sets up another Super Classico coming up soon. I've got to imagine that's going to be sometime in the next 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, So another hot mess that we're going to see there. But
you think he has what it takes to manage in Europe?
Yeah, I don't see that he doesn't. I think he does. I don't know that I'd give him the keys to Real Madrid right away, but listen, somebody, in the same league, maybe like a Villarreal or Valencia.
Yeah, like a small team.
Yeah, it's smaller team, but smaller team with some capability. Okay, Southampton. Okay, that's the kind of place where I would like to see him, earn his trade next. If you take him into Italy,
Marseille.
Marseille would be a great spot. Marseille would be a great spot last year. This year, the problem is, and we've talked about this with Jonathan Johnson, is all the dismantling that they've gone through here. I mean, look at what's his name there? Oh my God, he had such a great game this weekend.
Gignac.
No, not Gignac. Oh my God, he played in England. Oh my God. Oh, was he played for West Ham?
Dimitri Payet.
Yes, Dimitri Payet. Yeah,
but he was from. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, losing guys like Payet, losing guys like Gignac, Bielsa was not going to survive that. Okay, I don't think a coach is capable of surviving that much dismantling. I don't care if you're Pep, okay, or if you're Mourinho. Mourinho might stand a better chance because tactically speaking, Mourinho's a little more diverse than Pep, I think. But I don't think anybody survives that. So I would hate to see him go into that situation. Now let's go to Marseille in 2 years when they've recouped some of their money and they're starting to buy players again. Yeah, I'd love to see it. Another side that he could probably go to be like a Lazio in Italy, or even although Mihalovic is there now, but Inter would have been a good spot. They've kind of restructured the team. I'm sorry, not Mihalovic, Mancini.
Mancini.
Yeah, Mancini, but you know what I mean is a team that has restructured like that would be a good spot. A newly built team with a new coach with new ideas. I think that is going to be the optimal spot for him to succeed in Europe. But it's got to be, like I said, I wouldn't give him the keys to Juventus. I wouldn't send him to PSG. I wouldn't send him to City. I wouldn't send him to Chelsea. It has to be somebody that's kind of a little more mid-table, that with some quality and some capability.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
So, but it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see their race going into the end of the season. With Boca, to see if they can finish top the league. That would be something to definitely hang your hat on at that point. You know,
Mhm.
so. And obviously, Copa Sudamericana, Rob, I don't know if you have any idea when that starts up. It should be soon, I think.
This week.
It is this week.
Yep.
God, that is sooner than I thought. I didn't.
Wednesday to be exact.
I didn't realize that, or we would have put a game
Oh,
in the
tomorrow. Tomorrow actually it starts. Yep.
What do we have for games tomorrow in the Sudamericana?
I mean, nothing interesting. Not at least big teams.
Okay, I see. I wasn't sure. I know that I knew it was starting soon, but I didn't think it was this week. So that kind of sprung up on me. So we'll replace Libertadores with Sudamericana, I guess, in the upcoming days. That's for sure. Any statistical information that you have on the 3-0 River Plate victory?
I will check if I can find anything.
I thought I had something here myself.
Let me see. Yep. 8 shots on target for Tigre, 7 shots on target with River Plate. Possession. I'm trying to see if I could find it. No, I don't see anything on that.
You know, I had it here somewhere previously now, and I can't find it. Yeah, I can't find it now. I did have those statistics, but I can't seem to find it myself. So
it's fine. It's probably dominated that entire match.
Yeah, and if you watch, especially that second half, River was certainly the better team. That's for sure. So, all right. So let's take it over quickly to the CONCACAF Champions League, which kicked off the group stages this week. On Tuesday, we had Querétaro beating San Francisco 2-0. Santos Laguna over W Connection 4-0. We had Real Salt Lake on the road beating Municipal 1-0 on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we had Arabe Unido 3-0 over Montego Bay. We had Club America 4-0 over Motagua. We had the Whitecaps and the Sounders play to a 1-1 draw. On Thursday, we had Herediano 3-0 over Metapan. The Galaxy 5-1 over Central FC, and the game wasn't even that close. So obviously we haven't played more. We've only played a handful of matches, so not worth going through the groupings or anything like that at this moment. We'll probably do that next week. But we do have a match of the week that we are previewing at the end of the show, and we'll have to keep an eye on the CONCACAF Champions League as we move through the season. So Rob, I'm going to throw it back over to you quickly because I wanted you to describe your interview with Cyle Larin and maybe introduce it for us.
Well, yeah, I guess there's no way to describe it if we're going to listen to it. So I guess we'll, I did an interview with Cyle Larin for Vavel, the Orlando City, definitely the Rookie of the Year in my opinion. That's going to be announced. So I guess joining us now on Ultimate Football is Cyle Larin.
How does it feel to play alongside Kaká for Orlando City, and how does it feel to be the favorite to win Rookie of the Year?
It feels good. Just play with Kaká and one of the best players in the world, and just know what he's thinking when he's playing, and just see what he does on and off field, and it's great. And it feels good to hear people say that I'm Rookie of the Year, but I haven't got it yet, and I have a lot of work to do.
Are you well aware of the attention that the media is giving you?
Yeah, I'm aware. But I mean, the season's not done yet, and I'm just trying to score more goals and make sure the playoffs with this team because we have a great team.
I want to talk to you about your time at UConn. How was your time there at UConn, and what was the best memory there?
It was a great time. I think when one of the best memories I had there was when we made it far into the NCAA tournament and we played UCLA and we won in penalties. That was one of the best memories for me down at UConn. But it was a great time playing there and great people there, and I'll always thank them for what they did for me.
Okay. I want to talk about your tournament here in the United States and how it felt to represent your nation in the Gold Cup. What are your plans to help grow the Canadian national team and bring the respect back to the country in soccer?
My plans is just to get into a lineup and make sure I score goals and to help us win. I think that's what I can do, and work hard anytime I'm there in camp or any games, the next upcoming games. Just to score goals and win games.
Why do you think you slotted into MLS so seamlessly?
Pardon?
Why do you think you slotted into MLS so seamlessly? I mean, you're the second youngest player ever to score a hat-trick in the league, and also the fourth ever Canadian to do so.
I just think it's just listening to the coaches and learning each and every day from players on my team and the coaches, and I listen to them. I've been listening to them since the day one, and it's been working because they know what the league's about, and I'm just working hard to score, and if I work hard, I know I'll score.
Talk about your manager, Adrian Heath. How good of a manager is he?
Pardon me?
How good of a manager Adrian Heath is?
He's a great manager. He's for me, I think he's great. He's a player the same position as me, and I'm just learning things off him, and he knows the game well, and the way the system he plays is I like it a lot. And when you like the coach, it just makes it easier, and he pushes his players, so that's a good thing.
Talk about your experience playing the first ever match for Orlando City in MLS against NYCFC. How did it feel for you to play that match in front of 62,000?
Pardon me?
Sorry. How did it feel to play the first ever match for Orlando City in MLS?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was a great time, but I didn't play that game. I was dealing with a few injuries, but it was good. It was good just to be there and see the atmosphere there. It was the most people have seen at a soccer game. It was a great time for us and the league.
What went through your head over that red card against the New York Red Bulls a couple of weeks ago?
I was just surprised that he gave me a red card for that. I didn't go. I was going for the ball and I missed the ball, and the other player came right into me. He ran out. He didn't get the ball either. So I was just surprised I got a red card for it.
Did you say anything to the ref?
No, I don't remember what I said.
All right. I want to talk about your time at Stigma FC. Yeah, just talk about that time before you went to Orlando.
It was great. That's why a lot of my skills I have now and all the abilities I have now, statistics come from there. Just 2 years being over there, and the discipline I have now, it's just all come from there, and I thank the coaches there for that, and it was a great time. It was a great professional environment, and that was a good thing there, and I developed really good there. There was a lot there, and it was just a great time being there, and I developing my skills there and getting ready for the next level.
You're playing Belize in the World Cup qualifiers next month in Toronto and in Belize. Given the fact that you're probably going to get called up, how are you feeling leading up to that World Cup qualifier?
I'm feeling good. I'm scoring right now, and I can keep it going. And if I keep it going, I think we'll do well. So,
if there is a particular player that you would like to try to emulate in how you play, who is it?
Ibrahimovic maybe, or I don't really know, maybe Dugba. I like that. Those are two guys that try to play.
How good is your relationship with Tisha Kandeli?
It's good. It's good. The first time I met him, he's a really nice guy, really humble guy, and I think the more we play together, the more our relationship will get better on the field and off the field. So it's good.
Lastly, you're going to possibly go in the playoffs, and you're trying all your best to go into the playoffs for the first time in club history.
Yeah.
How do you think you can get that goal?
Just work hard together, work as a team, and you see when we do that, we win games, and I think you can keep doing that to win these next couple of games and make a playoff push. And I think when you make it to the playoffs, we'll be fine because we have a really good team to win it.
All right.
And that was Rob Rojas's interview with Cyle Larin. Rob, tell me about your experiences. What you thought about the interview overall?
Yeah, I thought he basically gave me some straightforward answers, so I figured that maybe that's I agree with him what he said, basically.
Yeah. So, Mike, that right there is Canada's finest. Your thoughts?
He's a better player than he's in interview, I would think. I think he was probably a little shy, and he's not used to media, which we are, I guess. Probably asking him for an interview or questions a lot more than he was, say, even a couple of months ago.
Right. I would agree. And again, young guy, the University of Connecticut isn't exactly in the middle of New York City, let's say. It is in... Yeah,
and I don't think the MLS is preparing some of these guys the way other leagues do with the media.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. I look back to last night before the LA Galaxy match. They had a special... it was before the New York Derby on Fox Sports. They had a kind of a show on Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard. And just they're chronicling their journey over to the United States to play in MLS this year. And it was amazing to hear the fact that Steven Gerrard has been at Liverpool since he was 8. Think about that. He's been prepped for this life since he was in 2nd grade. Okay, and that's really what it equates to. And just I'm sure a guy like Steven Gerrard is very comfortable in front of thousands of people talking. You saw it a couple of times when he was introduced to the LA Galaxy. Obviously, captain of Liverpool. And I don't think, and not that I'm criticizing Cyle Larin because this is not something that would certainly be his fault, but just being exposed to that kind of thing it really does wonders for you. That's what I would say, Mike.
Yeah, I could say about now his name just escapes me. The kid who got drafted first in the NHL this year. He's been touted, as a huge prospect since he was 12 years old. So now when you listen to him talk after he was chosen first, and the media was, it's crazy here in Canada for hockey. He sounds like he's 25, 30 years old the way he talks. So I agree with you that Cyle Larin probably has not had, in Canada, soccer is not a big thing. And I would even hazard to say that most of the interviews he had are like the ones that Rob conducted over Skype and aren't even face-to-face.
Wasn't Skype?
Well, you know what I mean, though. A recorded interview that you're not face-to-face where you're not there with him. That's what I mean.
Right.
He hasn't got to that level yet, but that's coming for him for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And I think as the more he'll get better at it.
Yeah, because this is, Cyle Larin is not somebody that's just going to go away. I mean, the kid is ultra talented. If he goes away, it means he left the United States to go play over in Europe somewhere, and you could easily see that happening. So,
yeah, definitely. Man, hopefully not for at least a guy. I hate to see these guys. Like, I don't think Yedlin's going to make it with Tottenham. Yedlin would. It's still time. Well, the best thing for him is going to be loaned out to a lower division Premier League team where he can play all the games, or a top level championship team.
I think so too.
Yeah.
You thought he could? What about the idea that he could have probably stayed in Seattle?
Yeah, well, I think Europe is probably better for his progress as an individual, but I just don't think right now he's going to get much time at Tottenham.
That's what Jurgen wants.
He's got Kyle Walker playing in front of him.
Not after that match.
Well, one game doesn't make the season.
I know.
You better hope it doesn't, or Peter Cech's finished too. Because he didn't play very well either.
No,
you could definitely fault him for the first goal. He came out and completely whiffed.
Yeah, and you know what? Though he's had a history of doing that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm not writing off. Kyle Walker's not my favorite right back by any means, but he's better than Yedlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always thought it was a little bit of a mistake for Yedlin to go to the EPL. I would have rather have seen him gone somewhere a little more. I don't want to say lesser, but I would want to say someplace where he would probably succeed a little better. I got to be honest with you. I think he would have probably done a little better in Spain.
Or a top-flight champion. Like, there's still time for him to get loaned out this year to a top-flight championship team where he's going to play a lot of games, and that league's no slouch league. That's one of the toughest leagues there is.
Was he on the bench? on Saturday.
Yeah, I think he was. I'd have to look it up, but I think he was.
Oh, sure.
I was gonna say, if you give me a minute, I can find out for you.
I closed all my windows. Sorry, guys.
No, I keep plenty of windows open during the show, so I can research it. Let's see, Tottenham, Man United. So we can.
No, he didn't.
He didn't. Oh, you beat me to it. Damn you. Okay, so he's not.
So getting back to Cyle Larin, I'd like to see him not go to any team in the Premier League. At least for a couple of years, a championship team, sure, but I don't want to see him sitting on the bench.
Right.
We've seen Scott. We've seen the Sinclairs and the other guys who go to the big teams like Manchester City, and they're transferred out 2 years later, and have lost 2 years of progression in their career.
Yeah, he would certainly be. I don't think he should go to the EPL, but I do think he should go somewhere. If he goes, he should go somewhere a little more prominent. I guess it's
Italy.
I think he's right where he belongs right now at this point in his career.
Yeah.
I think
He's
he's
still
in the
young.
perfect spot.
He's still very
I think he's in the perfect spot. He's playing with Kaká. I think he should be there at least for another year before he even thinks about going anywhere. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not talking about him making the move at the end of the season. I'm talking about maybe 2 years. He gets.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I can see definitely, and I can actually see teams sniffing around probably now.
They probably are.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Right, but I just hope for his sake, and obviously I'm speaking a little bit for Canada national team's sake, that he needs to play. That's what he needs, game time.
He has a qualifier in a few months.
Yeah, he just needs to play. Yeah, like Joe said, he's definitely not going this year, so he just needs to play, and I don't think he can do that in the Premier League right now.
Right. So,
he's not better than Josie Altidore, I don't think,
No.
And he's not playing in the Premier League.
Or Giovinco, for that matter.
Gentlemen, I hate to turn the focus from England and the United States, but I am going to send it over to Germany, because joining us now on Low Limit Football is Susie Schaff from Bayern Central. Susie, how are you tonight?
Oh, I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me on again.
Good. Oh, no problem. Glad you could join us. Hopefully we didn't make you rush through dinner.
No, I shovel food in my face constantly. No worries.
So I'm gonna open up the questioning for you, because this is going to be the Bundesliga preview section of our program tonight as they start up this Friday, and I want to actually talk about some transfer rumors going on. Juventus has been in the pursuit of Julian Draxler now for a while, and I believe Schalke's been asking somewhere in the realm of 30 million euro for him, where Juve is only willing to part with about 15. Do you think this transfer will happen before the deadline closes?
I don't. I really don't. And I think Schalke, so for the past few years, their front office has been kind of a hot mess, right? They go about business actually kind of horribly. In this instance, though, I would say it would be better for Draxler, or it would be better for Schalke to actually hold on to Julian Draxler. Mm-hmm. It's been a little bit of back and forth, and the rumors have kind of gone, especially the Italian-based rumors have gone that the Draxler signing is more of a possibility than it actually is. I don't necessarily see it happening.
Okay. Now, another name that actually David Amoyal brought up tonight because of the difficulties with the Draxler transfer is Heinrich Mkhitaryan from Borussia Dortmund. I hadn't heard Mkhitaryan's name come up in any transfer rumors, but I guess there is a distinct possibility. I think even at one point Marco Reus was rumored to be moving on, to various clubs, even Juventus. Do we see guys like Mkhitaryan or even or Marco Reus moving on?
No. I would say that right now, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Mkhitaryan, and Marco Reus are pretty untouchable at Dortmund. Tommy Tuchel, the new coach, Tommy Tuchel, is kind of specific in the way that he wants to run things, and all three of those guys are going to play a major role in the season upcoming.
Okay. Now, good. I'm glad we brought up Borussia Dortmund a little bit, because for me, one of the major strengths for Dortmund is in their defense. And I'm just trying to think of, you've got Subotic that's back there. I'm trying to think of some of the other guys there. Oh, Mats Hummels is another. Yeah, there's a lot of quality there, and it never seems like anyone's ever rumored to leave there. But if I were the owner of a huge club in, let's say, England, or even one of the big clubs in Spain, these are the guys that I would be looking at, and I'm surprised we don't hear a lot about them possibly moving on.
I think with Dortmund especially, there's a lot of loyalty involved, and especially after the season they just had, everybody wants to do better. The defense does have talent, yes, but there were many, many individual errors over last season that ended up, leading to goals conceded. They didn't have a fantastic year defensively, although they do have a lot of talent defensively. Guys like that, Hummels is never going to leave. I don't think. I think he'll be a lifer there. Despite these guys it's sort of a dying breed. Guys that want to stay at a club despite maybe being able to make more money somewhere else. And it's not like BVB is a small club. It's not. It's one of the 20 largest clubs in Europe. So there's really not a whole lot of impetus, to move on to somewhere else. I mean, really only in Germany, you would go to Bayern for something bigger, but bigger is not necessarily better for these guys. And there's something, I guess, kind of charming about that sort of attitude, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm glad you brought up the champs, because I do want to talk about them. And I know first and foremost, certainly on Twitter, you come across as a little bit of a fan of Bayern Munich.
I'm more than a little bit of a fan. It's funny. I really try. Okay, so I'm allowed to be a Bayern homer, and I'm unapologetic about it. I started out in football journalism, writing about Bayern Munich specifically. I have Bayern Munich tattoos. This is, if you know me at all, it's my passion and it's my love. Right. But I try to be as fair as possible, and I don't just have the Bayern blinders on, I suppose.
I agree. Yeah, no, and besides that, I think the other passion that if I remember correctly was Star Trek. Is that right? What did actually Alien. Okay. I know that at Twitter, probably like 6 months ago, you and I had a back and forth about something. I thought it was Star Trek, because I'm trying to...
it could have been Star Trek. I'm a huge The Next Generation fan. I'm such a dork.
Well, I'm a Deep Space Nine person. So.
I just got a new tattoo where I have everything that I think is badass fighting each other. So I have a Kraken, a polar bear, a unicorn, and a T-Rex all battling each other. And I'm gonna add Alien onto the shoulder.
So before we get totally down that path, I do want to go back to Bayern Munich,
sure.
Because they made, I would guess, for lack of a better term, a little bit of a midfielder swap this year, sending Bastian Schweinsteiger to Manchester United. But they did bring this guy. I guess he's okay. This Arturo Vidal guy. I mean, he's
all right.
He's so.
He's got shocking hair, but.
Well, listen, I'm a Juventus fan.
And bad driving.
Yeah, he's not a...
Yeah, that too. Yeah, he doesn't really drive so well.
Listen, we should all be lucky to crash a Ferrari. But anyway, I'd like your thoughts on Vidal, the player, coming into this Bayern Munich side.
How do I say this? So recognize that he has all the talent in the world, but Bayern went against what they do and kind of hired a guy, with the DUI over the summer and kind of how he looks. And I'm not trying to, he's way got his own style. By the way, I love the shorts tucked in thing that he does. I think it's brilliant. But it quickly changed once you saw him on the pitch in preseason and then in the first round of the Pokal, what he actually brings to the team. I like the fact that there's this toughness and he's willing to take on, and he brings a little bit of that sort of muscle and that swagger, which has been missing at Bayern since Anatoly Timachuk and Mark van Bommel. You can throw Luis Gustavo in there as well, as that trio left, and that's something that hasn't been going on at Bayern for a while. And I really think his ability to get yellow cards, but never to get sent off. I mean, he hasn't been sent off since when, 2011 or 12?
Yeah, something like it's been a long time. But he does play hyper aggressive.
I think that is wholly impressive, and it's something, Bayern was being, I guess, too nice on the football pitch, and Vidal definitely gives it that little bit of oomph, is something you should be somebody to fear, which is pretty cool.
Well, I do think, that uncanny ability to pick up those yellow cards for Vidal did hurt Juventus a little bit in that Champions League final against Barcelona, because it almost seemed like he really had to dial down his aggression after he picked up that first yellow so early in the match.
Yeah, yes, but he still finds a way to somewhat see it through. Of course, you pick, especially in a final, you don't want to get a sent off in a Champions League final, and an early card is going to hurt any player, not just Vidal. That totally tempers the way that they play moving forward, especially in a match as important as that. But I appreciate that sort of thing. Okay, so he's going to miss, for Munich, if he sees cards, because after your fifth, it's a match suspension. He'll miss like 4 matches, league matches, going forward into the season. But I really do. I think he and probably Javi Martinez, when he's back on the pitch, are the two main quote unquote aggressors this season, and that'll be nice to see.
How about a guy like Frank Ribery? He seems like a guy that we haven't really heard much of since he was a finalist for the Ballon d'Or a couple years ago.
Right. Frank is old and hurt and perpetually hurt. This one ankle injury he's carrying now, he was supposed to miss 3 days when it was first diagnosed at the end of last season, and he's still out. It's the reason why Douglas Costa was brought in, and Ribery and Robin are 31, 32. Robin's 31, Ribery is 32, getting near to the end of their careers. And Ribery just, it's sad. When he did play last season, he played not very fit, and the speed has gone down a little bit, and he's going to be sort of relegated to a kind of a backup role going forward. I think Douglas Costa has impressed so mightily in preseason and even in the cup match that I think when Robin's healthy, you're going to see a Costa-Robin wing pairing instead of the Ribery-Robin.
Okay. I'm going to send you over to Rob Rojas. I know Rob has a bunch of questions for you. So, Rob, if you're ready, take it away.
Yes, hi, Susie. It's nice to have you back on the show.
Hi, thanks.
I just have a few questions regarding Franco Di Santo. I just want to know how his transition will be between Bremen and Schalke.
Schalke is kind of interesting. Schalke's they've got a lot of really, really young talent, and like I said earlier, I said that even though their front office is shambles, they have a lot of young, great guys that are coming up. I think getting rid of Di Matteo and hiring Andre Breitenreiter from Paderborn. Brian Ryder is a good coach, even though Paderborn obviously struggled. And he seems willing to at least initially to spread the love around. I think it's a good move going on there, and I expect Schalke to definitely make Champions League places next year.
Okay. I just want your opinion on Baba Rahman from Augsburg and Ivan Perisic.
Baba Rahman is just a super imposing figure. How tall is he? 6'5", I think. Very, very young. He's still prone to make some young center back errors. I would say that in the next, what is he, 19 years old? I would say that he's got some learning to do, but he's just got this amazing physical presence, and he's quick for his size as well. I think in the next 5 or 6 years, he could end up being one of the finest center backs in the world.
And Ivan Perisic?
Pardon?
Ivan Perisic, the Croatian from Wolfsburg.
Oh, Perisic? I don't necessarily have... I wish I had a strong opinion one way or the other, but I don't necessarily have a strong opinion on it.
Okay, fair enough. Do you know how Andres Christensen can fit in Mönchengladbach?
Mönchengladbach? I have not... I have not, to be honest, I've not really studied or do I have an opinion on him as a whole. Gladbach as a team is something entirely different. But
all right. If you believe the great Tancredi Palmieri, it's been said that Pep Guardiola will be leaving Bayern Munich at the end of the season. Do you think that's true?
Oh, Tancredi. Not necessarily. It's going to be often talked about, and it'll be a distraction season long until something happens one way or the other. I don't think that he'll go to Manchester City. I never have, and I never would. I think the only job he would leave Bayern for would be Manchester United. Now, and this, of course, hinges on what's going on with Louis van Gaal. But as we all know, Louis van Gaal spends a max of 3 years at a club. So, he's going into his second season, and he's starting to pull his Van Gaal attitude and his moves a little more. And I think at some point he will upset the board of United enough where he'll have to move on, like he's done over his entire career. I think that the Guardiola move hinges on Manchester United solely.
Yeah, of course, and you have a few more years for Van Gaal, so I think it's a reasonable option that he might go there. I just want your expectations for Heung-min Son of Bayer Leverkusen, and where do you think them and Mönchengladbach will finish in the Bundesliga?
Son is a talent, and Leverkusen, Roger Schmidt has Karim Bellarabi's son, Hakan Çalhanoğlu. They have a great front line, and Schmidt's 2 years at Leverkusen, he's really starting to get them playing the type of football that he wants, and more consistently over 90 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if Leverkusen, even though they did lose Gonzalo Castro to Dortmund, and Rolf is retired, and Stefan Reinhardt is gone, they did get back Christoph Kramer on loan from Gladbach. That was on loan to Gladbach, rather. They have a really, really complete, devastating attack, and I wouldn't be surprised if they finished second in the Bundesliga.
Okay. Yeah, of course, definitely.
I wouldn't be surprised, even though everybody, pretty much everybody is picking Wolfsburg to finish second, and there are definitely cases to be made with that. But the Wolves are carrying a somewhat small squad, and in their first Champions League competition, I guess since 2009, since they won the league, they might find it a little bit difficult going forward. And Gladbach is just continues to impress me year in and year out. Lucien Favre loses his best players every single year. You know, this year is no different with Kruse going on to Wolfsburg and Kramer going back from his 2-year loan spell there. They did good business in bringing in Dermich from Leverkusen, kind of a switch, and Lars Stindl who was the Hanover captain. Gladbach also looks like definitely a top 4 side.
Yeah, of course, they definitely have a great side overall. I just want to stick back to Bayern Munich, and I just want your take on what's the future for Julian Green, and what do you think Pep Guardiola thinks of him?
Pep Guardiola likes Julian Green, but I think there is this. A lot of people or a lot of Americans specifically, are painting Freddie Adu like a Freddie Adu sort of title on Julian Green right now, and that's not fair at all. The loan spell, obviously, to Haasval was a disaster last year, and Green is young, and he made it a little more difficult on himself than maybe it could have been, refusing to play for their amateur side, but he's now back at Bayern playing for the amateur side. So this season, he just needs minutes, and he needs consistent minutes. He's not proven enough right now, even though he has the raw talent, to be included as a regular on the bench at Bayern. And at 20 years old, he's still very, very young. Another year at the amateur side only helps his development. I think a lot of with his inclusion on the U.S. men's national team, if I were him, that would not be a route that I would have picked. I think I would have chosen to play for Germany and tried to get in the European Championships that'll happen in France next summer.
Interesting.
Just because he wasn't quite as far along as I think that he could go. Now with all the media attention and everything, I think it kind of detracts and it is harmful to his development in some way.
Interesting. I just want to talk about the other American players that are playing in the Bundesliga, and I just want your opinion out of John Brooks, Timothy Chandler, Fabian Johnson, a new guy, Aaron Johansson. Who do you think will have the best season for their respective clubs?
It might be John Anthony Brooks. Out of the
after the Gold Cup he had.
Pardon?
After the Gold Cup he had.
Yes, I know that's not saying much.
Because he had himself nothing short of a nightmare during the Gold Cup.
Yeah, no, I know he did. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pick an outlier and pick Brooks, and then we can chat later on in the season and see how
right, there you go.
Absolutely.
Hey, listen, as an American, I'm hoping you're absolutely right. Don't get me wrong. Because you're literally looking at the center back for the United States men's national team for the next 7-8 years at least, and I think a lot of people are questioning that, especially when he got paired with Ventura Alvarado in the Gold Cup, that he didn't look good. Now, me as an American, the one guy that I hope they do pair him with, if he does ever materialize, if John Brooks ever materializes, is Matt Miazga, who's playing over at the New York Red Bull right now. He actually had David Villa locked up a little bit last night in that in that New York
in
Derby.
that New York Derby. That was. I only caught the first half, and that was a kind of an interesting match.
Yeah.
But that would be maybe something definitely for the future of the men's national team. It's tough. I mean, the Gold Cup, as far as the United States goes, the whole tournament just kind of sucked. You know, I don't know necessarily. Is it blame on players? Is it blame on Klinsmann for tinkering? Is it, you can.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to put a shameless.
You're better off just forgetting about it. You know what I mean, and moving forward.
I'm going to put a shameless plug in on here. On our website, I wrote an article about this, including Klinsmann and John Brooks and all that stuff. So if you ever have 5 minutes and want to be bored out of your mind, I'd invite you to come read it. But Rob, I'm sorry. Yeah, Rob, I'm sorry. I kind of stole that from you. So sorry.
No, that's fine. I just hope he does well as well. So, I just have a few more questions, and I just want your take on who do you think will finish top 5 in the Bundesliga?
I definitely think Bayern grabs their 4th title in a row. So I'm going to say Bayern, Bayer Leverkusen, Gladbach, Wolfsburg, Schalke.
No Dortmund?
No, I still think they've had some defensive frail. They're a little bit defensively frail still. Dortmund still makes Europe, but no, I don't think they make Champions League spots.
All right. And I just have one last question. Where do you think Jurgen Klopp would end up in the future? At what club do you think would suit him well?
Oh gosh, anybody but Bayern.
That would be good to see, isn't it? Wouldn't it, Joe?
I kid. People have. So there's if you're a Bayern Munich supporter, it's a very, very fractured place to be at this point in time because everybody is either wildly pro or wildly anti Guardiola. And I think a lot of that has to do with how long you've been following the club. But a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Klopp should be Bayern's next coach." The problem with that is, if you looked at his last season at BVB, Jurgen Klopp never had a plan B. He had this one way, this gegenpressing style play, and then when he didn't have the guys that could do that, that was still all that he had. So I'm not sure that a coach with such, with only a single dimension is going to be a good option going forward anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Sure, maybe that works for a couple of years, but eventually teams catch on, guys figure you out, and if you can't move or switch with that sort, with the developments, I don't know. He could get a job anywhere in the world, right?
I don't the German national team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really care for Jogi Löw either, so I haven't really appreciated him since like 2012. So
even when he won the World Cup.
Yeah, you won the World Cup with the center back playing at right back. It's shocking, and I don't know how he did it, but he did it. The German national team won despite Joachim Löw.
I'm gonna tell you why he did it right now. And one simple fact: he never had to face Italy in that tournament.
This is also probably true. I mean, Italy just has Germany's number.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I I had to.
No. I can fully admit it, and I'm fine with that. You know, I see Italy and I go, oh Jesus.
Susie, can I just interrupt for a second? It's Mike in Toronto. How are you?
Hi, good.
I just wanted to ask you if you didn't want to see Klopp in there, and if Guardiola does leave, who would you like to see come in to replace him then? I really,
even before Pep was the thing, I really wanted Thomas Tuchel. And then he went to Dortmund, and I was like, oh, damn it. Right? I really, the guys, Dortmund is going to, they already love Tuchel, and they're going to continue to love Tuchel. I think he's great. He's a master tactician, very, very fluid, changes game plan. He's like a Pep guy, very, very animated on the sidelines, but he's constantly changing the way that, the 11 guys that he has on the pitch are playing. And I just think he's brilliant to watch. With Bayern, it's got to be somebody big. They don't hire small time coaches anymore, and I don't know. It's a really, really interesting question. All I ever wanted after Heynckes, even though I'm happy with Guardiola, all I ever wanted after Heynckes was Tuchel, and I haven't given it much thought past that. I think I'm just still gonna hold out for that if that happens.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, that was just my last question, Tom. So thank you for coming on, Susie. I'm going to pass it over to Joe.
Yeah, no, because I still have a couple more questions. I do want to bring up, because we started to talk about Wolfsburg a little bit moving into the season, and I want to talk about Bas Dost. Really kind of exploded onto the scene last year, and he was an inconsistent striker, and then for some reason found some form, which ended up finishing, I believe it was 4th in scoring in the Bundesliga. Can he repeat that season, or was that just a flash in the pan?
I think it's a flash in the pan. So obviously the Wolves thought so much of Dost that they brought in Max Kruse from Gladbach.
Right.
Right. I think it's really easy to score goals with Kevin De Bruyne doing the work for you.
Mm-hmm. He's an unbelievable talent.
I think my mom could have gotten 20 goals for the Wolves last year, just standing there waiting for a ball. Yeah. Dost, I think this is, the numbers for Dost should have an asterisk because it's the genius that is Kevin De Bruyne. I think Kruse will play a more vital role in the season upcoming, and I don't think Dost gets the numbers that he does.
Okay. I do want to turn the focus over to the United States side and basically the TV contract. Now, I believe Goal TV has had the contract for the Bundesliga for the past few years, but that is shifting over this year to Fox Sports. What do you think that will do for exposure of the Bundesliga, and can they ever get to the level that we see the EPL being talked about here in this country?
It's never going to get to that level.
Okay.
No, I can say that right away. For first of all, it's a language barrier issue, right? Yep. So, and that doesn't count with La Liga because everybody in the United States speaks Spanish as well. So you have the language barrier. Fox, after the initial leaked memo, I guess that went out, have come correct as far as their coverage is. When Bayern Munich plays, they'll be on Fox Sports 1, which is pretty awesome. They've committed to like 60 Fox Sports 1 and 60 Fox Sports 2 matches and over 100 on Plus. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting, and I really so I know all the guys that call the matches in English for DFL for the league, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to be the ones in game. You're going to hear the same guys. They've got Ian Paul Joy, who played for St. Pauli, and Eric Winalda, who also played in Germany, doing their preview show too.
I was going to say I would expect Ian to be doing some of these games. He's a friend of the show, and we've had him on a few times. And when we saw that, it was like bittersweet because I seem to do nothing but watch Be in Sport all day, and now to have Ian gone is like. That sucks. But, yeah.
And he's a cool guy. We're going to have him on our Recordmeister podcast coming up soon as well.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I'm happy that he gets to talk about German football. You know, that's going to be a pretty cool thing. I was upset, and now I am cautiously excited about what's going on. And to have Fox Soccer to go and be able to watch everything, I mean, that's probably the most amazing part. For a German football writer working here in the United States, to have those matches where I'm not trying to, get an illegal stream or do, or do whatever, and everything is archived and I can watch anything at any time, it makes my job a lot easier.
Right, sure. And one last question to close it out before you go, and this is a question that we kind of talked about last week when we previewed the Ligue 1 season. The two teams that are at the top of those individual leagues, Bayern in Germany and PSG in Ligue 1, are just dominant when it comes to comparing them to the second, third, fourth place teams in those leagues. I don't think the distance quite exists in Italy, although Juventus for the past 4 years has been the top dog there, and that difference certainly doesn't exist in Spain and in England. Does having such a dominant team, whether it be Bayern or whoever, having that dominant of a team at the top of a league, basically you run into the danger of having the league be a little boring, where you don't want to watch Bayern anymore because they're going to beat Augsburg. And let's see what happens on Wednesday when they play in the Champions League instead. Do you run the risk of making a league boring because you have a team that is so dominant at the top?
It's funny. So Bayern the past 3 seasons, in their treble-winning year, they won by 25 points. In Pep's first year, they won by 19. Second year, won by 10. What's really interesting to me is what goes on, like, in the middle of the table in the Bundesliga. Mm-hmm. It is always super, super tight and super competitive heading into relegation zone, and places change wildly, like by 3 or 4 spots, week in and week out, as people kind of fight and battle. So it's really easy because Bayern is obviously the far most accessible team, and that's what you're going to see the most. To go, this is boring, but they play kind of pretty football. Even though you might not think there's a title chance, for anybody else. I don't know. I think it's still a really, really attractive style of football to play. That being said, Bayern played like crap against the top 6 teams over the course of last season. The season was won by beating all the small guys, all the lesser teams, and had any of the other competitors, gotten their act together and were, they had needless losses and draws to smaller clubs that they should have crushed. And had anybody gotten their act together, they could have given Bayern actually a really, really big fight last season.
And even to further your point based on the question, if you were able to get a Wolfsburg Mönchengladbach match on television, that is going to be an awesome match to watch. I'm hoping that the Fox exposure exposes the leagues, but not necessarily the Bayern Munichs of the world, more like the Wolfsburgs, even Augsburg, you saw a couple good matches out of them from time to time. The Mönchengladbachs, who I think is a very underrated team.
Right.
I actually kind of like the fact that you put them in second place in the season. I don't know if they have enough to take over Wolfsburg, because Wolfsburg just looks so good, and like you said, with De Bruyne on that team, going to be tough to beat. But that Gladbach side just plays so well as a team that it's going to be good. It's going to be good to watch, and I think the access in this country will actually further that league a lot more than many people think. The one thing I just hate about Fox is once you get Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2, anything beyond that costs you an arm and a leg.
Yeah, so I live in I own a condo, so I can't even get DirecTV, so I don't get Fox Sports Plus at my house.
Right. I refuse to pay for it. I have DirecTV, and I refuse to pay for it.
Right. Oh, I would pay $87 million if I could just sit on my couch. I do have a local pub that I go and support at that has all the channels that I've been doing for years. Okay. The interesting thing about Gold TV, so as a Bayern Munich fan, Gold TV was perfect because they showed Bayern week in and week out.
Right.
It didn't matter what derby was going on. Nothing else. It could be Bayern playing a relegation team, and they would put Bayern on first, always. Mm-hmm. So, for that, I was eminently thankful, even though there are games that maybe I might have wanted to watch first if I wasn't writing about Bayern Munich. But Fox, with having 3 channels and being able to broadcast matches subsequently, they have a real responsibility to pick some interesting things going forward and creating that sort of buzz. All us people who watch the Bundesliga on the regular basis think it's the best thing in the world. Yeah. Obviously.
Of course.
Of course we do. And it's a rare chance, and the first chance in the United States to really bring this to a wider audience. And people have been on Twitter tweeting at me. They're like, "Hey, since Fox has Bundesliga, I'm going to start watching." And they're asking me about websites, and they're asking me, who do I support, and who do I get information from if I want to start following this seriously. And I think it's a really, really unique kind of cool thing going forward, where I go out and I've got my jerseys on, and a lot of people actually really, really know what that's about now.
Got it. Last question before we let you go tonight.
Sure.
Mike is posting this to me. He's shooting me this question. Apparently, there's a rumor out there. Speaking of Kevin De Bruyne, there is a rumor out there that Man City is hoping to sign him for £46 million before Sunday's match. That's coming from ESPN FC. Have you heard that? I mean, this is the first I'm hearing of it. Have you heard that? And what are the odds on that one happening?
I haven't heard it, but it's not happening.
Okay. There's no one's going to part with De Bruyne, period.
No, they're not. Wolfsburg is owned by Volkswagen. Right. They don't need money.
Right. They've got a lot of it.
They've got plenty. Yeah. So, it's funny. So with the Premier League, with the new TV deal, all 20 clubs are flush. Actually, probably first and second division. All top 40 clubs are flush. Right. And transfer fees in England are at the level of ridiculousness. It's like monopoly money, it's not real money because they have so much of it.
So much for financial fair play, right?
We can throw 50 million at this guy, or we can throw, even thinking about the Roberto Firmino to Liverpool deal. Mm-hmm. What was that, like 40 million euro?
Yeah, and it was some ridiculous number, and he wasn't worth it.
Well, I mean, he could be, but he's not definitely.
Right.
But screw it. They get 250 million a year on TV contracts, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. So they City can offer Wolfsburg whatever they want to offer him. Obviously, there's always going to be a point where you're going to say yes, but I don't see where that level would be for Wolfsburg. It would be like 90 million or 100 million. And the shocking part about that is City can afford to pay it.
I was just going to say those Etihad people do have that lying around in a box somewhere, and they can just send it
probably in Pellegrini's sweaters somewhere.
They sewed it in as bus money.
I just think that's all crazy. But no, Wolfsburg has zero reasons to get rid of De Bruyne.
Yeah, and honestly, I think unless they absolutely needed the money, which we've established that they absolutely don't, but if they needed the money, it would cripple the team so much because he is such a big focus on their of their team that.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, everything offensively goes through De Bruyne there, and they would be a shadow of what they were without him.
Agreed. I agree 100%. Susie, thank you again for joining us and coming on early and giving us so much time. We had a fabulous time. Next time you see Juan Arango, let him know we said hello.
Yay! I love Juan. He's so awesome.
Whenever we talk to you or we talk to Juan or talk to any of the guys at BN, it just makes us
George.
George DiMattelis is another one. Oh my
God.
I
love George. So I'm supposed to go down. So I live in Boca Raton, but I'm supposed to go down to Miami to go hang out with those two at some point. Okay. So.
Well,
I love them both. Yeah,
sure. I don't know if he changed his Twitter handle back, but I did like the Jorginho Chocolat handle.
I saw that.
That was awesome. It was one of my favorites.
I saw that. That's great. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And he's such a good dude. He's fun to watch on TV. He was great to talk to on the phone, and every time I talk to one of you guys, you make us very jealous. And when I talk to you in the winter, you make us even more jealous. So,
it's miserable and disgusting here right now. You don't want to be in South Florida.
Yeah, whatever. That's what air conditioning's for.
This is true. This is also why I am a white girl because I do not go outside.
No beach for you, huh?
Unless I have to.
Oh man, I would be so dark tanned. I'd be dark tanned forever. I'd look like George Hamilton all year. So again, Susie, thank you again for joining us. We had a fabulous time, and
thanks guys, I appreciate it.
We'll have to have you back sooner than this, but coming very soon, I think.
Give me a call.
You betcha. Thanks. Have a good night.
John Anthony Brooks, you heard it here first.
What's that?
John Anthony Brooks, you heard it here first.
I did hear it here first. We're gonna hold you to that at the end of the season. Talk to you soon. And that was Susie Schaff. Dude, she's awesome. She is fantastic. She's so full of energy, and we've had that happen, from time to time. But there are a few guests that we've had on here that we love, and she's certainly one of them. And she's always great to have on the show. So it's
Joe.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You seriously haven't heard about De Bruyne to Man City? Like, this is the first you've heard of it?
No, honestly, it is the first I've heard of it. I haven't
seen it. What about you, Rob? It's been going on all summer.
All summer.
I honestly haven't seen it.
And now, ESPN FC is reporting that Manchester City has booked a medical for De Bruyne for Wednesday morning.
Wow. That is...
They get them their favorites. They're more...
I think it just masks our defense a little bit. I really think we still need a defense. I'm not saying I don't want De Bruyne, but he's not. We need another defender.
Agree.
That's my opinion, but it can't hurt having more. Well, I was going to say more depth, but obviously he's not more depth. He's at the top of a depth chart. But yep, that's what the ESPN FC is reporting, that Manchester City has scheduled a medical for Wednesday morning for Kevin De Bruyne.
Interesting.
So we'll see. But I'm just, what's shocking to me, Joe, is that you have not heard this when it's been all summer.
Listen, when first thing in the morning when I wake up, I check the Twitter feeds of the Low Limit Football Twitter feed and my own personal Twitter feed. I sit there and listen to the radio, as much as I can all day as I'm driving around. I check Twitter 4, 5, 6 times a day. You guys know that because we message each other back and forth. I come home and I watch soccer on TV. I watch BN Sports. I watch The Extra and anything else that we're watching that night, and I honestly have not heard of it. So every time they've said it, I have missed it every single time.
You know what you need, Joe?
And it's been an ongoing story for at least what, Rob? 6-8 weeks?
More.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Tell
Joe,
me
you know what you need, though?
whatever
You need Bleacher Report and ESPN FC on your phone. Get notifications.
And
Older news.
I've turned off the notifications, but I do have both of those on my phone.
Turn them on, because they will help you big time.
All right, then.
Maybe just turn it on for the last week of the window, Joe, so that you're right up to
They
date.
will help you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because the one thing that drives me nuts is all the English rumors. Because I've said it a million times. Everybody's rumored to go to Man United, including myself. I've been talking to Louis van Gaal now for a couple of weeks, but he's just not giving me enough money.
They're looking for someone to rip the tickets at the gate, Joe?
A professional to rip the tickets at the gate. Let's get that right. So, but yeah, so maybe it's just me that anytime I see an English rumor, I kind of take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it's just that this one's been reported by some fairly reputable sources, and now ESPN, who I put up there on my sources. They're not saying it's a done deal, but they are saying there's a medical schedule.
De Bruyne is such a key. I mean, I got to watch some Wolfsburg matches last year. He is such a big part of their offense. Like Susie said, everything goes through Kevin De Bruyne. So. And
I guess, sorry, Joe, I don't mean, just to not counter, but to add to what Susie said, it seems to be the player that wants to force this move.
Okay.
Not the team. It's Kevin De Bruyne is pushing for this move, and the athletic director, whose name is Dieter Hecking, he's baffled why the player is pushing for this move, but sometimes the play, if the player doesn't want to be there, there's not a lot of sense having him.
If City gets him, I may change my prediction from Arsenal to City.
Arsenal?
I picked Arsenal last week to win the EPL. Don't you remember?
Yep, you did.
You thought I was?
No, I did. I must. Wow. And Toronto FC to win the MLS. Your limbs way.
Arlo White has Arsenal. I think Ian Joy took Arsenal. There are a few Arsenal. There are a few people out there that chose Arsenal. They're like the.
I know, yeah.
Arlo White picked Arsenal.
I didn't know you were amongst.
Well, he picked City at 4th.
Yeah, he did pick City 4th. Yeah, on.
Yeah, but Kristen picked them first.
On Sirius XM, they had a whole show on it, and I think Ray Hudson took Chelsea. But I mean, there were a lot of people that took Arsenal. It was
Phil Shane.
Well, Phil Shane, I would expect to take him because and Lucas saying he missed me picking Arsenal last week. Phil Shane, I would expect to take Arsenal because he's a big Arsenal fan. So I wouldn't see why not he would do that. So
I'm with Luca on the wow. I didn't realize.
Yeah, Luca, you missed so much last week.
Yeah,
I told you to stay on.
I missed that too. So
and you were listening. So
yes.
All right. So other than the De Bruyne, I guess, rumor at this point, are there any other rumors that we need to be paying attention to before we move into the week ahead?
Sharon Shaqiri to Stoke.
Yes, I did hear that. They were all happy. NBC was all over the fact that he was at that Stoke match this weekend. And
How about that move?
Yeah, I mean,
from Bayern to Stoke.
Well, Bayern to Inter, right?
Yeah, Bayern to Inter to Stoke.
Wow.
How about that?
Monaco have signed Brazilian midfielder Gabriel Boschella, the 19-year-old from Sao Paulo.
Yep, great player. Yeah. Great move. So, Lucas Digne to Roma from PSG.
I did hear that as well. So that was something I think even Jonathan Johnson had mentioned a few weeks ago, that he thought that he might be on the move.
And I think we can confirm now Angel Di Maria to PSG.
Yes, that is confirmed. I think.
Yeah, he was in training today. Actually, I've seen a picture of him training.
What do you think about that move?
For Di Maria?
Well, for the team, Di Maria. Your opinion, yeah.
It's awesome move for Di Maria. Awesome move for PSG.
You think they can win the Champions League with this team?
No. No.
I would say no as well, but man, I think part of it depends on the health of Zlatan. One of the problems that Zlatan had last year was that he did pick up a couple of knocks throughout the season. I think.
So if he stays healthy, that's your pick, though.
No, I think.
Okay.
But I
you just give them a better chance.
I give them a better chance. Exactly. I don't think they win the Champions League at all. I don't know what kind of.
No, I don't think they
Let
win.
me also.
You don't either, do you, Rob?
I think no. At best, semifinals.
Yeah, I think they.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And
at best.
Let's be honest. But here's the thing that drives me crazy. Where do they need to improve to get them over the hump? Where I can't put my finger on it.
To win the Champions League?
To win the Champions League.
Almost every position, I would say.
No, God, no.
Oh yeah, if you match them up against Barcelona last year, and I'll guarantee you that other than one or two positions, you've got their players ranked below everyone at Barcelona.
Thiago Silva, David Luiz.
David Luiz as a defender, no. But exactly. Thiago Silva, absolutely. He's we've talked about him before. He's one of the top 3 center backs in the world. There's no doubt about that. Thiago Silva is definitely a big spot for them. There aren't many strikers that you would take over Zlatan when Zlatan.
No, I did. Like I said, not every position, but almost every position. And you asked what they would need to improve.
Looks good. The midfield looks good because you got Verratti, Pastore,
right?
Players like that.
Thiago Motta plays there.
Exactly.
I mean, they have a good. That's the thing. They are so solid at. They're solid in every aspect. They're not great.
Solid, but they're not. That you asked what would get them over the top, and I'm just saying they need to improve some. They're solid, but they're not great at every position.
Well, let's put it this way: as constructed, I think they could beat Real Madrid. I don't think that's out of the question. I don't think it's out of the question. Real Madrid.
If Real Madrid had David De Gea, you're still saying that, or a different goalie. You leave someone that we recognize as being a world-class goalie that would, that Real Madrid usually would have.
I think Real Madrid picks up a world-class goalie. They're challenging Barca for La Liga. They're challenging for that Champions League title. They're challenging for a lot.
So just given that, though, you're saying that PSG would need to improve at least some positions then.
Yeah, but I think the improvement that they would have to get would those guys are already on the teams that they would be fighting for that title, so they would have to be picking up Neymar.
I agree with you. They have the 1B players, but to get over the top, they would have to be, like you said, pick up the 1A player.
Right, exactly. And I think that's the issue is they have.
And that's all I meant by improve at every position to win the Champions League, which was what the question was. That's all I meant. They have a great team. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they can win the Champions League.
I know you're not poo-pooing them. It's amazing that a team has done that much to make themselves that good, and they have great quality at every position. But there's always a team out there that has, there are only 2 or 3 teams in the world that have at every position somebody that's just a little bit better.
Right. Soccer's just so our football is just so competitive.
All right. Well, let me ask you this: if you took PSG as constructed right now and threw them in the EPL, do they win the title?
No.
Okay.
I think Chelsea has a better chance at Man City of winning the Champions League than PSG.
Even though PSG knocked Chelsea out of the Champions League?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fine. Does PSG go into Italy and win and beat Juventus and win the title there?
No.
Okay. I don't think they beat Bayern. Okay.
No, I think they are ranked where their league is ranked, where we would rank their league in terms of international or European leagues. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that out of the 5 leagues, we're all putting them probably in 5th.
Okay, so all right, yeah, in terms of that, but no, not even that.
So that's where I put them as a team.
I'd say you might even put them a little lower than that because you take Bayern, you take Juventus, you take Chelsea, you take Real Madrid, you take Barcelona. So you probably
you could, you definitely. So yeah, 5th or lower.
Right, roughly 6th, 7th, depending on where you put Atletico Madrid. So something like that. Maybe we should come up with a ranking, top 10 club teams. We'll do that maybe somewhere halfway through the season or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
It's
always fun to do that.
Yeah. So and then we can compare our top 10s. All right, gentlemen. So with that in mind and that closing out the transfer window talk, let's look at the week ahead. Why don't we do that? So, so we've got a few matches we want to talk about. The first one I bring up in Ligue 1 is our match of the week. We're going to preview is Reims-Marseille. The reason I chose this match is Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern. The reason I chose this match is because Marseille is going to be in such disarray, losing Marcelo Bielsa from the team abruptly quitting. Marseille's also, they did not look good this past weekend when they played Caen, losing 1-0. On the flip side, Reims played very well in a 2-1 upset on the road at Bordeaux. Bordeaux, I think, was 5th or 6th in the league last year, so it's certainly a quality side there. But Reims gets to come home and play Marseille at home. I'm going to take Reims actually to win this and continue on their winning ways. I'm going to take them. I'm going to take them 2-1 in this one as well. So I'm just going to write that down. Reims 2-1 over Marseille. And I just think Marseille's in for a nightmare of a season. So, Mike, I'm going to send it back over to you for the EPL and MLS matches of the week. If you're still there.
Sorry, Joe, I had my mic muted. I'm not going to give my EPL result until Friday because I want to use the simulator, and I want to have as close to the proper lineups as I can for that game. So I'll put it out on Twitter on Friday. But the game is mentioned. Sorry?
No, I was just going to say, I think we can make a guess of what it is.
No, he's going by simulator. So if simulator,
I'm letting the simulator make the prediction for this game. So I'm going to put it out on Friday. The game though is at Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Manchester City at the Etihad versus Chelsea. So I'll put the score out there. If I was to predict right now, I'm probably predicting a draw.
Okay. I'm just looking over the last 6 results quickly between these two
teams.
Oh,
yeah, they're not good for City.
No, they're in the last 6 meetings, these teams are 2-2-2.
Okay, so last year, the last 4 years, or 2 years, last 4 games hasn't been good for City, though, right?
Yeah, most recently, Chelsea and City drew 1-1 on January 31st. Prior to that, on September 21st, they drew 1-1 as well at the Etihad. In February of 2014, City with a 2-0 victory over Chelsea. February 3rd of 2014, we had a Chelsea 1-0 victory at the Etihad. And then prior to that, 2013, we're looking at some old results.
All right, so it should be a good game, and I'll put that prediction out, like I said. And just for the record, the simulator did go correct last week, so it's 1-0, and it also had Man City's game correct today. The MLS game of the week is going to be the New York Red Bulls versus Toronto FC. That is on Saturday, I believe. Yeah, Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm going to make a prediction on this one. I'm going to take the Red Bulls 2-1 over Toronto.
All right. Now, Rob, since we are opening the Bundesliga this week, I need a match of the week from you, sir.
I think I'm going to pick this one. Dortmund against Mönchengladbach. I think the winner of that match definitely has the chance to have the big possibility to start off their campaign to qualify for the Champions League.
Okay, and if you want to give us a winner?
I'm going to pick Dortmund 2-1.
And when is that game, Rob?
That is Saturday at 12. Should I say? Difference of time. 12:30.
All right.
Well, our time?
Yeah.
We'll
12:30 Eastern. Okay.
We'll have to see if that matches on one of the Foxes. I would imagine it would be. You've got an American on one side of the ball. You've got a highly recognized team on the other side of the ball. I would imagine that match is going to be somewhere in television. I just have to do a little homework to see where it's at. So, and then last but not least, we've got a CONCACAF Champions League matchup between the Seattle Sounders and Olympia, and that match is Wednesday at 10 p.m. Seattle drew 1-1 in their first match with Vancouver. They are on such a lousy run of form at the moment in terms of both teams, where Olympia's won their last 3 matches domestically. Seattle
at home though, Joe.
Seattle is at home, but I don't know. I don't think we have Obafemi Martins back, but I don't know if Clint Dempsey's back yet.
No.
So I don't even think he's back in training.
I'm going to take this one. I'm going to actually pick an upset. Because Olympia, if you guys remember correctly, was a semifinalist in the actually semifinalist or a quarterfinalist of the CONCACAF Champions Olympia.
Not this one that we just finished, the Montreal run?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, I think they were a quarterfinalist.
Yeah.
So, a decent side there, and they're on a pretty good run of form. I'm going to actually take the upset. I'm going to take Olympia on the road 2-1 over the Seattle Sounders.
All right.
And that's our CONCACAF Champions League prediction.
And when's that game, Joe? Wednesday at 10?
That is Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern.
All right.
So all we have left is our trivia question.
All right.
If you'd like to repeat it.
I will. 6 managers have managed the same club for more than 4,000 days, more than 10 years, part or all of which were in the Premier League. Name them.
Okay. I wrote down 4 names.
All right, you go first. And then we'll name one, and then we'll let Rob name one, and we'll do it that way.
The easiest one I'll give you right now is Arsene Wenger.
That's correct.
That's a simple one. My question is do they still have to be active?
No.
They're not active. So they don't have to be active. Okay, so I have my second one is right as well. But Rob, go ahead and give them the second.
They don't even have to be alive.
Oh, geez. Okay. Rob, if you wouldn't mind.
Sir Alex Ferguson?
Yeah.
There's 2.
Now you stuck it on me, and we need to get 6. You know, the only reason I'm even going with this name is because he left and then came back, and I'm sure it's wrong. I'm going to go with Jose Mourinho, but I'm almost positive he's wrong.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's managed anywhere for 10 years.
Yeah.
I'll try something.
Has to be. I don't know that has to be consecutive, but I wouldn't. He hasn't been at Chelsea even for 10,000 or 4,000 days.
That's and I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember how long his first stint was. So
okay, there's one fairly obvious one that you're going to be upset if you don't get. So Rob,
who was it?
Carlo Ancelotti.
No,
I didn't think. I think Ancelotti had been there long enough.
It's got to be Premier League, Rob.
The fourth name that I wrote.
Coach Premier League.
Yeah, but not for 10 years.
Yeah.
The fourth name that I wrote down, and I think could be wrong, but I wrote it down fourth, is Harry Redknapp.
No, that's a good guess though, but he's not on there.
Okay.
So should I give you the other ones then?
No, let's let Rob.
No, we'll keep going.
Yeah, let Rob.
Okay, try for this obvious one. Think of some obvious ones. Still active, not in the Premier League. He's still an active manager.
Can you give us some hints? Maybe.
Oh God. I can't think of his name now. Hold on. I do have one.
Team?
Real Madrid.
No, it's got to be the Premier League.
Right, no, but he's coaching Real Madrid right now. He said he's not in the league.
Oh, no, I don't think he was there for 10 years. He had a lot of success, but not 10 years.
Okay. I was thinking Benitez.
I'll tell you this, the manager that you're missing, that's the obvious one, is in the same part of the country as that.
That would mean Cholo Simeone, and he's...
not Simeone. Can't be Guardiola.
No, he's never even coached in the Premier League.
Oh, but you're thinking of...
I got one.
David Moyes.
There we go. There's the obvious one that's, in Liverpool, just like Benitez, the one I said was close to where we were. So I'm not sure you're going to get any of the other 3.
All right, so go ahead.
I'll just give them Brian Clough.
Brian Clough.
Okay.
We all know about Brian Clough, I'm sure.
Yep.
Alan Kirbishley.
No, I've never heard of him.
Nope, me neither.
Really? You haven't heard of Alan Kirbishley?
I think he was...
Bill Shankly.
No.
Well, I think he was the coach of...
Aston Villa for 2 years. Charlton, Aston Villa, and is currently where?
Nowhere.
He's not coaching right now?
No.
Okay, well, he's definitely a commentator on BBC, and he's still active in football, maybe not as a manager, but I'm sure all our English friends know Alan Kirbishley. And the last one is Joe Royle. Royle. I'm not familiar with that one either, but he makes that list.
Wow.
And Joe, the question for you this week was,
yes.
On this day, more phone calls are made than any other day of the year.
Christmas Day?
No.
New Year's Day.
Oh, I thought you would get that one. It's Mother's Day, Joe.
Mother's Day.
Okay.
Joe Royle has coached he played for Everton, Manchester City, Bristol City, Norwich, and the English national team. He managed at Oldham, Everton, Manchester City, and Ipswich Town. So I'm sure Liam knows
he's not
a lot
even.
more.
I don't think he is. I said I don't think I see him in the chat.
Okay, but I'm still sure that Liam definitely knows a lot more about Joe Royle than I do. but 10 years with the same team. In actually, most of his was in the first division, and it was with Everton. So we have two managers on the list that spent more than 4,000 days with Everton.
Luca is saying Bill Shankly should be on that list. He's saying that he coached Liverpool from 59 to 74. 15 years.
Well, it's not on the question where I found it anyway. Let me quickly see him here. I definitely know Bill Shankly, but I don't. Oh, here's his stats here. Liverpool. Yeah, I don't know. Judging by this, yeah, he should be on that list.
He should be on that list as well. So Luca correcting the triple.
Well, I'm going to look into it a little further. I'm not sure that was that consecutive. He coached there for 15 years.
I don't know.
I think so.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then he would be an answer on there.
Okay. So, gentlemen, with nothing else left on the docket, let's hit the closing music for episode 84.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Let's do it. And I'm going to have to turn the volume down on this one because I know I had it turned up for the interview. So, again, for episode 54 of Low Limit Football, I want to send out a special thank you again to Cyle Larin, to David Cartlidge from 442, and to Susie Schaff from Bayern Central. Next week we will be on normal Monday, same normal time, normal channel, and we are currently efforting guests, so I don't have the full guest list as of yet. So, for episode 84 of Low Limit Football, I am Joe Usello.
I'm Roberto Rojas.
And I'm Mike Orr.
Thanks for joining us and listening tonight, everyone, and good night.
Thanks for listening.